A very good morning and hearty welcome to all the eminent speakers, chief guest, chief patron, keynote speakers, and participants of today's webinar. I, Dr. Madhumita Vaidya, on behalf of RATE, will be hosting this webinar on impact of COVID-19 on teaching learning processes, challenges and solutions. Today we are delighted and honored to conduct this event at RIT. Rajendra Academy for Teacher Education provide varied teacher education courses, that is MEd, BEd and DLEd, to cater to the training needs of the aspirant teachers. This institution has been functioning since 2009 with recognition of NCTE and affiliation from the WBU TTEPA, University of Bardhaman and WBBPE. Yes, before going to the seminar, let's chant one holy mantra before we move on to start this webinar. Chanting mantras acts as a seed that grows within us and provide us peace, love, happiness, patience, free from anxiety, panic, depression, heal our chakras, and accumulate positive energy to face this difficult terrain of our life. So all of us in mind, let's chant this mantra. Om Sarvesham Shastir Bhavatu. Om Sarvesham Shantir Bhavatu. Om Sarvesham Purnam Bhavatu. Om Sarvesham Mangalam Bhavatu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Well, the world is facing humanity's biggest crisis due to this COVID-19 pandemic. Many countries have decided to close schools, colleges, and universities. This crisis crystallizes the dilemma the policy makers are facing between closing schools and keeping them open. The severe short-term disruptions is felt by many families around the world. Online classes have become a new way of learning. This way of learning has an impact on overall development of the students due to the absence of traditional method of teaching. We are also observing that online teaching is moving in an untested and unprecedented scale. Students' assessment are also moving online with lots of trial and error and uncertainty for everyone. These interruptions will not just be a short-term issue, but will also have a long-term consequences. Today, in this webinar, we are going to discuss about these challenges of this pandemic on teaching learning process and what steps are required to mitigate this impact. Yes, any auspicious occasion begins with divine blessings and lighting of the lamp. So, I humbly request our Honorable Chairman Sir, Mr. Jayanta Kumar Chakravarti, and our respected Principal Sir, Dr. B.C. Swine, to kindly illuminate the traditional oil lamp, and also the principal of RCP. So, please. As we light, we pray to the God above. Let's start this program. First of all, I would like to invite our chief patron and the very creator of RATE, a distinct visionary and a fountainhead of the institution, Mr. Jayanta Kumar Chakravarti. Sir, I humbly request you to convey your message on this webinar. Sir, I request you.
Very good morning. Today, I am very proud to say the all dignitaries and participants reach in time and joined in this international webinar. I am very surprised that Dr. Bishi Schwein, our principal and his team, in a short time, they are organized a special webinar seminar. The seminar is impact of COVID-19 on teaching learning process, challenges and solutions. And I also proud to say in this international webinar, today with us, our honorable chief guest, Professor C.B. Sharma, Chairman, National Institute of Open School. Esteemed keynote speaker, is Professor Gaurango Charan Nanda, and the guest of honor is Dr. Dhirendra Kumar Mahapatra. I also welcome all our learned speaker, Mr. Donald A. McLean from North Carolina, United States of America, and my dearest friend, Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary from Dhaka University. It also Professor Khagendranath Chattopadhyay, University of Bardhaman, Professor Minal Mukherjee, West Bengal University of Teachers Training, Education Planning and Administration. And special thanks to Mr. Shukumar Singh Rai, neurotherapist, and Dr. Indranil Ghosh, radiologist from Red Cross Society. Again, I am give a special thanks to our principal, Dr. B.C. Swine and his team, and hope this webinar will success in all ways. Okay, thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir, for your message. Now, I'd like to request our convener and also our respected principal of RATE, Professor Dr. B.C. Swine. I request you, sir, to convey.
Good morning to all. Our esteemed Chief Patron, Sri Jayant Kumar Chakravarti, the Chairman, Rajendra Academy for Teacher Education, our Honorable Chief Guest, Professor C.V. Sharma, the Chairman, NIOS, New Delhi, launch keynote speaker, Professor G.C. Nanda, esteemed guest of honor, Dr. D.K. Mahapatra, and all my respected speaker and participants who have joined from India and abroad. I, on behalf of organizing committee of this webinar on impact of COVID-19 on teaching learning process, challenges and solutions. Welcome you all. Rajendra Academy for Teachers Education is an institute of repute which has been imparting quality teacher education since 2009. The current pandemic situation of COVID-19 has challenged in several ways. We have to self-quarantine ourselves, maintain social distancing and sanitization are inevitable for our survival. But we must admit that education is an integral part of our lives. Hence, we need to think of alternative ways and keep going. This webinar is organized managing the prevailing conditions and special to reach out to the student and help them with the teaching learning process. It is my privilege to introduce the esteemed dignitaries. We are fortunate enough to have Professor C.V. Sharma, the chairman, NIOS, as the chief guest for this webinar. Professor Sharma has obtained his doctoral degree as Commonwealth Scholar from the University of Hull, UK. In the recent past, Dr. Sharma has been working on developing better coordination and networking in South Asia. His presence in this webinar will certainly add new dimensions. We feel it a privilege to have him in this webinar. Thank you, sir, for being with us. Honorable keynote speaker, Professor Gaurangcharan Nanda, former Dean, School of Education, Ravenshaw University, Cuttack, Odisha. Professor Nanda, an academician par excellence, his in-depth understanding of the subject matter and passion of knowledge is best known to his colleagues and the students. We are really fortunate to have him amongst us today. Honorable guest of honor, Dr. Dhirendra Kumar Mahapatra, Professor of Education, former Secretary and member, State Selection Board under the Department of Higher Education, Government of Odisha, is student-friendly teacher, students since about 4 decades. Sir, we are honored to have your presence with us today. Esteemed speaker, Donald A. McLam is a senior financial analyst, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Service in the United States of America. He can throw light upon the pandemic situation in United States. His appealing gesture and friendly attitude will certainly make this webinar a unique one and fruitful. Honorable Speaker, Dr. Sabir Ahmad Chowdhury, as an Associate Professor, Department of Peace and Conflict Studies, Dhaka University, Bangladesh. He was the recipient of NORAD Fellowship, FTUFRS, and LTUPRS. His current research interest focused on human rights, election, public policy, governance, and bureaucracy. Stand competitively immemorial. It is because of you, sir, that the webinar will be more significant. Thank you so much for your gracious presence, sir. Honorable Speaker, Dr. Khagendra Chattopadhyay, HOD, Department of Education, the University of Bardhaman. Dr. Chattopadhyay, an able academician working with supportive pedagogical innovation, creating students with unique abilities. Today, he is among us for discussing upon teacher education, its global impact in this pandemic situations. Honorable Speaker, Dr. Mrinal Mukherjee is an assistant professor in the Department of Educational Planning and Administration, WBU TTEPA, Kolkata. He has served as the former HOD, Bankura University. He extends our deepest sense of appreciation for being with us today. Honorable Speaker, Sukumar Singh Roy, as well known neurotherapist, will help us to understand the current pandemic situation and how to overcome the crisis. Thus, sir, we are honored to have you with us today in this webinar. Mr. Indranil Ghosh, a radiologist who will enlighten us about the does or does not in the present scenario. Thank you, sir, being with us. I take this opportunity to express my deep sense of gratitude to the honorable guest speakers, participants, and colleagues for hosting the webinar in this pandemic situations. Hope we shall overcome the challenges of the time and emerge out successful. Thank you. Namaskar.
Thank you, sir. Now, I may request our esteemed chief guest, Professor C.B. Sharma, Chairman of NIS. Yes, we are fortunate to have you, sir, with us
My
on
privilege.
this event. I request you, sir, to lead this event.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Can you hear me? Okay, I can hear the echo, so I am assured that my voice is reaching you and all others. I must thank all the organizers for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to share my views with you in Bardhaman, as well as all the viewers, listeners, scholars from across the globe. I can see you have a distinguished panel, speakers from Bangladesh, other parts of Bengal, America. So congratulations to you and the organizers for this event. Should I start by saying your topic is higher education during pandemic, challenges and prospects? Please use separate microphones for all speakers. You are putting everyone in danger. Everybody is using the same headphone and the microphone. That should not be done during pandemic, at least. Use separate microphones. That is very, very important during pandemic. We need to have physical distancing, not social distancing. Higher education involves adults, so perhaps we can expect them to be more serious, more concerned, so they would not be taking things lightly. So when we talk of education during pandemic, we have to divide the whole sector of education into two. One will be school education, the other will be higher education. In higher education, we can be assured that the adults would be behaving more responsibly. So use separate headphones and microphones, please. As a participant of higher education, I am not much worried about pandemic. Why? India has seen many such debacles, and we have come out victorious every time. We have come out stronger. And why do I say that? We are 18% of the world population, and one single jacket will not fit all. So the strategy for Bardhaman, the strategy for Bengal will have to be different from the strategy that we adopt for Delhi or Mumbai or Chennai or Kolkata or Bangalore. So we have to have different strategies. And what would those strategies be? And what have we done? And why am I saying this? I can see Bardhaman is a fairly remote place, in the sense that every time I was requested to come, I could calculate that I will have to spend at least 3 days, one day traveling to Bardhaman, the other day coming back from there, and one day the function, the event. So I had to politely refuse, because I would not have those 3 days at a stretch to spare. But today I am with you. Don't you think we are fortunate to have corona? Thanks to China. That the Chinese virus has given us the opportunity to think of new opportunities and avenues. And that will have only positive impact, at least for the remote areas. We never experimented with online education. Today, 99% of the world teaching learning is done online. And it was not impossible. That is why we could do it. But we did not do it before because we always thought that this is dispensable. We have the classroom, we have the teachers. So why have online teaching? Online teaching has its great advantages, at least for countries like India. A large number of people, students, live in areas where teachers will not like to go stay and teach. That is the problem primarily with school education and definitely with higher education as well. We are facing that problem in India. A large number of schools are in remote areas, but we have great talent. Let me give you the example of Navodaya Vidyalaya. When we started this scheme with the intention of identifying the talented children from remote places and organized a test to select children to be admitted to Navodaya Vidyalaya, this year nearly 25 lakh, 2.5 million children appeared for the test and only 40,000 were selected to be admitted to the Navodaya Vidyalayas. And all these children from the remote areas were admitted in a network or chain of schools which are today considered the best in the country. They give the best results. What does that prove? That proves that if we have a similar system of selecting the best minds from the remote areas to be admitted in colleges, and colleges are remote, connected remotely through virtual university maybe or online education, we will have the best teachers teaching in these colleges. Just as we have today Navodaya Vidyalaya, which are completely residential in the remote areas. Corona has given, and I will once again thank China for doing this to the world. The world is reinventing. I won't say this is the third world war, but I would say this is the fifth invention, the great invention that the world is witnessing. And if China had not spread Corona, we would not have been able to retrospect, introspect, and come up with a new technology to reach out to all. Rhetorically speaking, thank China. What has it done? The best of the teachers are teaching from remote places, and you are able to receive those lectures. We have teachers from America today, from Bangladesh, and maybe from other parts of India who would be lecturing, who would be presenting their views on all the children who are in remote areas, would be able to hear them, question them, ask them, talk to them, have a dialogue, which was not possible. So the challenge was, we have already nearly overcome it. The challenge was how to connect all the good institution, I would say institution, schools to colleges from remote areas to those in the teachers in the towns, cities, and globally placed. And we have overcome it. In future, perhaps there are questions raised about courses which have practical component, courses which involve skill development. In future, perhaps we will also realize it is already there, it exists. As a distance educator, I must say we have been training pilots, we have been training teachers. We normally think teacher can only be trained in the classroom, but we have trained 1.5 million teacher. In fact, I was fortunate enough to be spearheading this as the chairman of the National Institute of Open Schooling. And We trained 1.5 million teachers from across the country in a period of 18 months, only with the use of technology. It was not possible to have so many colleges. It was not possible to have so many teachers who would teach them, organize their practical session. So we were conducting most of the teaching, learning, and demonstrating the skills online, and these who were demonstrating were the best in the field. Some from Chennai, but also from remote areas. So technology came to our rescue. Perhaps at the moment we have only realized transfer of content. In future we will also realize, which already exists, I must repeat and reiterate, the possibility of the scope of developing skills. A portion of it may be required on the job, but a large component of it can be demonstrated and developed in the learners. It's two-way. We have observed practice teaching by teachers in remote areas online. We do that. We have been doing it. The world didn't believe, or those who did not like to believe. Some may be fortunate to have got a job in a college in Mumbai or Pune or Delhi or Bangalore, but they may not be the best. The best, perhaps, teacher trainers may be in the remote areas. Why not make use of them? So this is now actually providing a level playing field. That your topic for discussion says prospects. The prospects are immense. The prospects are immense. The prospects are that those teachers who are the best. What is education about? Education is about excellence. We try to create the best human beings by developing the best quality of knowledge. I'll repeat that. Quality of knowledge. All children pass class 12, but some are better than the others. Some may be getting 60% marks, but some of those who get 60% outperform all others. The credit goes to the institution, the credit goes to the teachers. The nation will now, the world will now be exposed to the best teachers, irrespective of their location. These teachers can be made available to all learners everywhere. So the gap that we have been feeling or experiencing of not good teachers being available to remote areas is now perhaps being filled. So that is a great prospect of having pandemic or COVID-19, and in times to come, perhaps those who were disadvantaged will no more be disadvantaged, and the best education reach to them. But what may come with it? I'm saying this through experience. I'm also reading some of the questions or observations that are coming. So what can be the pitfalls of it? Some of the best teachers may be teaching from remote areas or maybe from towns and cities, and they would be recognized initially. Now we see we have webinars and it is all free, everybody is lecturing. This will not remain for a very long time. I am aware that some of the professors from MIT lecture only a couple of times in a year, and they charge billions for that. Now, if these teachers are recognized as the best teachers who are in towns or villages or remote areas, they will soon be charging for their lectures, for teaching, for doing tutorial, like the coaching classes of India. We have a culture of coaching classes where students go after school time to get extra coaching, and these are very expensive. But these teachers who realize will maybe charging a lot of money. So again, we must be ready for the situation where the best teachers will be charging hell lot of money, and those, especially in developing countries and countries like ours, may not, every child may not be ready to pay that sort of money. So education is perhaps going to be more expensive, because, and quality education, we have to be ready for that. I think I will have only time for that much. So what I will say, COVID-19 caught us unawares. We were not ready. We had not thought. In fact, leading country as far as distance education was concerned, we had advanced in distance education quite a lot. Yes, ma'am, you want to say something? I can see you online. Do you want to say something? I can't hear you. Your mic is off. Hello.
Concluded? So you're concluded?
No.
Yes, sir,
I'll just take 2-3 minutes.
Yes, sir. No way. No problem. You can proceed, sir.
Yeah, thank you.
You can continue.
So the good thing that has come with Corona is that we have explored online education. We had done good work. India was a leading country as far as distance education and use of technology. But in recent times, recent past, perhaps a decade or so, I can say, we have gone back in distance education, back in the use of technology. We were using the EduSat, the satellite technology for teaching, learning, and reaching out to students. Let me remind you, now that I am said I have some more time, I will share with all of you that India was the first country to explore education through satellite. No country did it. We did it in 1975-76. We were thinking, our academics, our institutions, our scientists were thinking in terms of reaching education to the remote area through the use of satellite. We used the American satellite in 1975-76 to reach out to the remote villages through the SITE experiment, satellite instructional television experiment, that India did during 1st August 1975 to 31st July 1976. And who did we reach? We reached the primary children. This program was for the primary children and primary teachers. 7 days a week, 6 days we were doing teaching, 7th day we were training teachers how to teach. The second component was health, third was agriculture, fourth was family planning. And these were the most essential of the areas that India required. So we were the first in the world to experiment with it. We have a lot of experience of teaching through television and satellite, reaching out to masses. Why am I emphasizing this? Because it's a different ballgame to teach a class of 40 and to address a nation. The content will not be same, the method of delivery will not be the same, and we have done that. We have trained ourselves, and we are ready to go online through satellite. We have an experience of 50 years. I will not recount all. For the school, we had the class project and many other projects. At the moment, we are emphasizing on online education through the SWAM platform. In 2015, we realized that there are different MOOC platforms, massive open online course platforms. And this again answers your question. Problems and prospects. The problem was that good teacher in remote areas had to be made available to the students in towns, and the good teachers from towns had to be made available to teach students in remote areas, and SWAM did that. We had large number. We have about 9,000 or so courses on the SWAM, and the coordinators of these courses are from various parts of the country. Now, when a country like India, or a large country with large population, large number of teachers, decides to do something like this, there is a tough competition for getting on to the platform. And obviously, the best would get into it. Just as the IIT graduates are the best of the world. It's a different matter whether our IITs are amongst the first 100 of the world or not. That's a world politics of education. If the world says that IITs are the best of the world, then perhaps all the students from all the rich countries would like to come and study in India. The educational institution of the rich world, the developed world, will find it difficult to finance their institution. So it is prudent not to call the Indian universities best amongst the first 100. I don't agree with that scaling, and our IITs are the best. Why? The competition for a seat in IIT is amongst 1 is to about 50,000. One student amongst the 50,000 is selected. If we take the mental caliber of students normally normal or equal, then imagine the competition for entering IIT. Why would these students not be the best of the world? They are. IIT graduates are coming out of institutions which are not amongst the first 100, but all the best companies are headed by those who graduate from IIT. So, if we select teachers from these institutions and places from where these students come, perhaps we will have a platform which would be handled by the best minds of the world. The best content would be transacting on this platform. And we face a terrible crisis of urbanization in India. Everybody likes to migrate to towns, and towns are reeling under pressure. Hopefully, post-COVID, when the institutions in the remote areas start functioning better, we will have more students remaining in the remote areas and pursuing studies from there. Rajendra Vidyalaya, for that matter, will have more students from their own area and who would like to be there instead of going to towns. I would conclude by saying Corona caught us unawares. We were not ready for it. We were not ready for online education, but it did not take the Indian teachers. I must salute the Indian teachers that within a week, right from class 1 to the PG level, the doctoral level, we have been able to conduct all our studies online, and this has come as a boon. I see 2030, 2040, India leading the world in education. One, because it has a large population. It's two, the youth is very hardworking, and the third, it has the best minds to be teachers in institutions. Corona should not be seen as a challenge. It should be seen as a prospect. And as our Prime Minister says, हम हर ऐसी स्थिति को अपने पक्ष में बदलते हैं, और आज तो हमारे पास नरेंद्र मोदी हैं, तो हम इस पूरे सिचुएशन को भी बदलेंगे और भारत के पक्ष में करेंगे। एक भारत, एक उदयमान भारत, एक समृद्ध भारत, एक सबल भारत बन के निकलेगा, हमारा ऐसा विश्वास है। आप सबों का बहुत बहुत आभार, धन्यवाद कि आपने आज मुझे मौका दिया आप सबसे बात करने का और अपने विचार साझा करने का। थैंक यू ऑल वेरी मच फॉर इनवाइटिंग एंड गिविंग मी दिस अपॉर्चुनिटी। थैंक यू, एंड आई विश this whole international seminar a great success. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you very much, sir. Yes, it's very true that in all the levels of education, the teachers are becoming very dedicated towards their profession. And yes, it's very true. During this pandemic, we are getting opportunity to skill ourselves with the technology, and we ourselves are updating with this technology. Thank you very much. कृपा करते हैं सर, आपका आशीर्वाद हम लोग के साथ हमेशा रहेंगे, और thank you for your motivating speech. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next, I'd like to welcome our honorable guest of honor, Dr. Dhiren Kumar Mahapatra, Professor of Education, former Secretary and Member, State Selection Board under the Department of Higher Education, Government of Odisha, and also the Academic Director of our college, RIT. Sir, it's my privilege to welcome you. You can lead this event.
Namaste.
Yes, sir.
Actually, it's my proud privilege. At the outset, I must extend my hearty thanks to the organizers of Rajendra Academy for Teacher Education. Esteemed Chief Patron, Sri Chakrabarti Sarji, Chairman RET, Honorable Chief Guest, Dr. Chandra V. Sarma, New Delhi, Professor Swain, the Principal RET, Revered Keynote Speaker, my learned friend, Professor Gorang Charan Nanda, Mr. Donald A. Maklam from USA, Professor Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary from Dhaka University of Bangladesh, Professor Khagindranath Chattopadhyay, University of Bardhaman, Dr. Mrinal Mukherjee, West Bengal Teacher Education University, Radiologist, Mr. Indranil Ghosh, Mr. Sukumar Singh Roy, the Neurotherapist, and my dear participants from India and abroad. Actually, I find it a great pleasure to share my views, my feelings in this pandemic situation, which has been entire world has been shaken up with this. The severe impact of COVID-19 has shaken the entire world. Further, most of government around the world has temporarily closed educational institutions in an attempt to contain the spread of the COVID-19 pandemic. In India too, the government of India since last mid-March till today has shut down all the academic institutions starting from school to the universities only to meet the challenges, only to face the challenges of this pandemic situation, for which school-going children to postgraduate students are affected. This nationwide closure are impacting over 90% of the world's student population. It has been estimated that more than 30 crores of students are affected in India. In the second week of March, state government across the country began to shut down all the schools and colleges to check the spread of the novel coronavirus. By now, 3.5 months are passed, and there is no certainty that when these institutions will reopen. As yesterday, government has extended the shutdown till the end of July. This is a crucial time for the education sector, like examinations, admissions, entrance tests, etc. As the days are passing on with no immediate solution to check the outbreak of COVID-19 list possibilities of the reopening of these academic platforms in near future, which may certainly affect the millions of young learners around the globe. The pandemic has also significantly affected the teacher education sector, which is a critical determinant of teaching learning process in future. A large number of students are worst affected by the pandemic, especially in the countries like USA, UK, Australia, etc., including our India. It is needless to say the pandemic has transformed the country's old chalk and talk method of teaching to one driven by technology. Just now I heard Dr. Chandraji, who was telling about the implementation of this, what you call, multi-angle strategy. So now it is the time to adopt the technology. A multi-angle strategy is necessary to manage the crisis and build a resilient Indian education system. An immediate measure is essential to ensure continuity of learning in schools, colleges, and universities. Therefore, the government has come up with e-learning program, online teaching learning methods, which is considered as one of the acceptable solutions in this pandemic situation. I hope that the students of this teacher education program are much aware ahead of time, because we had a part of discussion in our syllabus, that is what we call educational technology, in which we had highlighted all about these what you call substitutes of chalk and talk methods. Open source digital learning solutions should be adopted so teachers can conduct online teaching. With a rapid increase of mobile users in India, technology is enabling universal access of education even in the remotest part of the country. This can change the schooling system and increase the effectiveness of learning and teaching. Giving students effectiveness of teaching learning, giving students and teachers multiple options to choose from mobile-based learning models for effective delivery of education, which can be adopted by others. Just now, as it has been told by Mr. Chandraji, that he was also telling that it is possible to share the feelings of good teachers. Entire country can share their feelings, share their expertise on the field. So naturally, we should not think that this pandemic situation has created a havoc. Rather, it has created an opportunity for us to opt for a substitute method to impart education among the young learners. It is also important to reconsider the current delivery and pedagogical methods in school and teacher education by integrating classroom learning with e-learning modes to build a unified learning system. The major challenge in reforms at the national level is the integration of technology in the present Indian education system, which is the most diverse and largest in the world, with more than 15 lakhs of schools and 50,000 higher education institutions with quality assurance mechanisms. Many e-learning platforms offer multiple courses on the same subjects with different levels of certifications, methodology, and assessment parameters. So the quality of courses may differ across different e-learning platforms. In this time of crisis, a well-rounded and effective educational practice is needed for the capacity building of young minds. It will develop skills that will drive their employability, productivity, health, and well-being in the decades to come, and ensure the overall progress of India. Now the world is battling COVID-19, and economies across the globe have declared a lockdown. Work from home has become the norm, especially for service organizations. Following government instructions, even the academic institutions had to shut down, affecting academic delivery. Thus, they had to find new alternatives to academic delivery. UNESCO has made different recommendations for engaging online learning, such as examine the readiness and choose the most relevant tools. And the next recommendations made by UNESCO is ensure inclusion of distance learning. And next is protect data privacy and data security. That means while imparting e-learning, we must ensure that the use of applications and platforms does not violate students' data privacy. Then prioritize solutions to address psychosocial challenges before teaching. Create communities to ensure regular human interactions, enable social caring measures, and address possible psychosocial challenges that students may face when they are isolated. Then next is plan the study schedule of the distance learning program. And next is provide support to teachers and parents on the use of digital tools, blend appropriate approaches and limit the number of applications and platforms, and develop distance learning rules and monitor students' learning process, define the duration of distance learning units based on student self-regulation skills. And last, it has been recommended that create communities and enhance connection. Create communities of teachers, parents, and school managers to address the sense of loneliness or helplessness. Nowadays, we are feeling isolation because there are new terms have come up, like home quarantine, isolation, social distancing, such things. So we have to create communities in such a way so that we will not have that feelings that we are isolated from each other. Rather, we should feel that we are together. Remote learning seems a viable solution to students during this time, as they offer convenient and affordable access to lessons. E-learning also comes as an interesting and interactive alternative as compared to classroom teaching. Digital education appears to be a viable solution to fill in the void for classroom education until classes resume. Till classes resume, we have to take these alternatives, we have to accept these alternatives, digital education. A complete revolution in the way we learn today has been brought about by technology. Each student gets in contact with a world-class education, which is not easy to impart by the traditional chalk and talk method, as which has been just highlighted by Dr. Chandraji. The new learning is more interesting, personalized, and enjoyable. We must take it in that way. It is also cost effective and students get to learn in their comfort zone. Learning, as said, is a continuous and ever evolving process. The educational institutions in India, from schools to universities, can use this present adversity as a blessing in disguise and make digital education a major part of the learning process for all learners in the future. Negative impacts and opportunities created for education in COVID-19. What are the negative impacts? The COVID-19 pandemic has had a major impact on education, both negative and positive. The world today is facing a biggest public health risk, which is leading to one of the largest and the quickest reorganization of the world order. By the end of June 20, the epidemic has spread over 213 countries and resulted in the closure of almost all schools, colleges, and universities in the entire world. The spread of epidemic, the closure of educational institutions, and the transition to online teaching was so swift that it hardly gave any time to plan and to reflect on the potential risks of the potential opportunities or the potential opportunities that such a sudden change could bring. To think of, in such span of time, our teachers could think of that webinar, that teaching online, all such things are being implemented, not in the urban areas, but also in the rural areas. You can find everywhere, people are conscious, people are watching the mobile, and people are keeping the mobile in their hand and going for the online teaching learning process. Negative impacts are, there are a number of areas of potential risks for global education, such as sluggish cross-border movement of students. You see, you may get education, but it will affect a lot of things, like universities in many countries such as Australia, UK, New Zealand, USA, etc., are highly dependent on the movement of students from other countries. Many parents will avoid sending students abroad for higher education due to high risk from the pandemic. This cross-border movement of students will take at least for the next 2 to 3 years and will lead to a major financial risk for universities in these countries. Passive learning by students, the sudden shift to online learning without any planning, especially in our country like India, where the backbone for online learning was not ready and the curriculum was not designed for such a format, has created the risk of most of our students becoming passive learners, and they seem to be losing interest due to low levels of attention span. Unprepared teachers for online education. As you know, that online teaching is a special kind of methodology, and most of the teachers were not ready for this sudden transition from face-to-face learning to online learning. There is a risk that in such a situation, learning outcomes may not be achieved, and it may be only resulting in engaging the students. Changing format of admission. Universities and colleges worldwide are facing a major risk in the area of admission and retention. The risk of losing students is so high that they will need to relook at their admission criteria. But in spite of these negative aspects, this COVID-19 has also brought some positive impacts on the field of education. Any change that is so disruptive is also likely to bring with it some new opportunities that will transform the higher education system worldwide, and especially in a country like India, which is planning to bring about a planned reforms in this sector. Some of the key areas of opportunities are: one is rise in blended learning. Universities and colleges will shift to a model of blended learning where both face-to-face deliveries along with an online model will become a norm. Both the things, both the way the teacher can teach the students in both the ways, either on online learning or on the chalk and talk method. Both the things can be adopted in this present scenario. This will require all teachers to become more technology savvy and go through some necessary training. New ways of delivery and assessment of learning outcomes will have to be adopted in the area of curriculum development and pedagogy. The next is learning management system to be the new norm. A great opportunity will open up for those companies that have been developing and strengthening learning management system to be used by the universities and the colleges. Improvement in learning materials. There is a great opportunity for universities and colleges to start improving the quality of learning material that is used in the teaching and learning process. Since blended learning will be the new format of learning, there will be a push to find new ways to design and deliver quality content with more openness and transparency in the academics. Then the last, rise in collaborative work. There is a new opportunity where collaborative teaching and learning can take place in a new form. Teachers can deliver online course to even students from competing institutions. Collaborations can also happen among teachers across the nation to benefit from each other, as it has been spelled out by Dr. Chandraji. Finally, it is expected that there will be a massive rise in teleconferencing opportunities, which can also have a negative impact on the travel. A large number of academic meetings, seminars, and conferences, as we are having it today, as the international webinar on the impact of COVID-19 on teaching learning process. The same type of things is going on everywhere in the country, in the world. A large number of academic meetings, seminars, and conferences will move online, and there is a possibility that some new form of online conferencing platform will emerge as a business model. After all, the education sector now will go through a major transformation globally. Online education has met with some success. In the case of India, we still have a long way to go before digital learning is seen as mainstream education, because students living in urban areas have the facilities to opt for digital education. However, rural area students do not have the required infrastructure nor are financially strong to avail the resources required for digital education. Building of the digital education infrastructure by the government of India presently appears to be difficult due to lack of budget. Further, even if the digital infrastructure is built, training has to be given to the teachers to use the digital system to provide authentic and proper, uninterrupted and seamless education to the students. network uses, lack of training and lack of awareness were stated to be the major challenges. Remote learning increasingly relies on the reliable power supply and ubiquitous internet connectivity, which might be a problem in India. Moreover, the authentication of the educational material is at stake. E-learning will always provide the students with different information in different ways. So the authenticity of the educational material should be tested before these materials are circulated with the students. Creation of content, dissemination of content, and evaluation of content should be done. Blended education has to come face to face, should be done. Blended education has to come face to face, and distance education should go hand in hand currently. Educational data circulated in online should be properly maintained, because these digital classes may lead to hacking systems and intruders may come in. As every day we are getting messages through different social medias that your account must be secured, you should not share these feelings, that feelings, like that. Because you see, once the digital learning is not protected naturally, you will see that there are a lot of problems, and there more hackers may come out and the things may be hacked out. The digital safety challenge will remain in large while imparting education. Another challenge is that e-learning comes across a somewhat patchy and impersonal experience. Also, e-learning is likely to witness a high dropout rate, as the student may tend to get distracted by gaming consoles, social media at home, and might not feel a sense of community while taking online classes. Successful delivery of education is also in question, because learning at the level of higher education and learning at the kindergarten school level can be different. Digital education cannot be applied the same at every level of education. So these are what we call, I had read out some of the very important portions which I had been selected since last 2 days, in which I had stated that it has some positive aspect, it has also some negative aspect. We cannot just change the system. We cannot just change the system overnight, transforming the education from chalk and talk method to e-learning method. But as the situation demands, we have to have the what you call the alternatives in our hand. Thanks a lot for giving me an opportunity. And Rajendra Academy of Teacher Education, which is imparting teacher education since 2009, has been accredited as grade B by NAAC, is in fact the institution which is taking a lot of initiatives in providing much opportunities to the learners, not around the West Bengal, but also throughout the globe. Thank you very much, the organizer, for giving me an opportunity and giving me a pleasant listening. Thank you all. Okay, thanks. Hello.
Hello.
Yes. Anything else?
Yes.
I
Yes,
had been
sir.
given for 10-15 minutes time. Is it all right?
Yeah. Yes,
Thank you
sir.
very much.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. Yes, sir. It's
Okay.
very true that we as a teacher should impart this teaching learning process not only in the rural areas, but also in the urban areas. So thank you very much, sir, for your informative and motivating speech. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks a lot. Thanks.
Next, it's our proud privilege to invite our most honorable keynote speaker, Professor Gauranga Charan Nanda, former Dean, School of Education, Ravanshaw University, Cuttack, Odisha. Sir, it's my proud privilege to invite you. Please deliver your views on this webinar. Can you hear me, sir?
Yes, ma'am, I'm here, very much here.
Yes, sir. Yes, it's very fortunate, sir. You can just deliver your view. Thank you, sir. Yes, you can just proceed.
Should I proceed?
Yes, sir. You can
Am I
proceed.
audible?
Yes, sir. You're audible.
Okay. So, namaskar to everybody present over there. And at the outset, I would like to congratulate Rajendra Academy for Teachers Education for having organized such an international webinar with the presence of great luminaries in education. Actually, when the life across the globe is ensembles, you could do it. So kudos to the organizers and my respect to the director, Mr. Chakravarti, Chairman Sir, and Professor C.B. Sharmaji, the chief guest of the occasion, Dr. Subir Ahmad Chaudhary ji from Bangladesh, and my friend Dr. D.K. Mahapatra, and my friend learned friend from United States, and other learned resource persons present over there. I am honored to be here to be a part of your international seminar, and I have been asked to touch upon this on this topic, impact of COVID-19 on teaching learning process, challenges and solutions. Well, I am happy that my friend, learned friend, Professor Sharma, Dr. Mahapatra, they have talked at length on this pandemic situation and its implication for education. I'm so happy that Mr. Sharmaji, Professor Sharmaji, was concerned for school education. In his view, higher education can be managed with the help of technology, distance education, stuff like this. Both of them, Dr. Mahapatra and Sharmaji, both of them are very experienced campaigners in the field of distance education, distance learning, and in their respective places they have done wonderful works. But my problem is, can this online program be the lifeline program for our students? Is it the future? I have been experiencing life in academia for the last 3 months. I am in touch with developments in developed countries like USA. I myself taking classes in B.Ed and M.Ed class, teaching my students online, encouraging my students to teach online, to go online. And this digital is the order of the day nowadays. But what is happening actually? We have been talking that this digital device is the alternative. Can we do away with the traditional practices? Can we reduce the value of classroom teaching? That is the question that is immediately coming to my mind after having listened to Professor Sharma and Dr. Mahapatra. So let us start sector-wise analysis of what is happening. In case of preschool education and pre-primary education, it becomes a casualty. Particularly in government schools, where technological equipment, technological gadgets are not available. Students in remote areas are actually the worst victims, because you see, pedagogically also, it's not possible to prevail upon, to influence the learners at these early stages of education. I was asking to one of my friends whose daughter is reading in an English medium school, and for that, when online classes are on, either he himself or his wife have to sit with the child. And you see the attention span of the child is so limited that the child fails to give attention to the screen at a stretch continuously. So that's the problem. It's not that effective as we are visualizing here as academicians, as technology lovers. So my apprehension is the digital gap which was already there between rural and urban, it gets widened in remote areas because of these network problems, power problems, computer problems. We have not been able to reach the unreached. Similarly, in secondary school education, things are not happening. In Odisha state, we have not been able to do the valuation work for high school certificate examination. Just they have completed and they will take time to publish their results. And if your primary education and secondary education is neglected, then the stuff we are getting at the higher education level or the teacher education level, they are not going to be up to the mark. So this is a concern for all of us. But however, at this point of time, perhaps digital way, digital approach, digital technology can be the best option. We don't have any other option. And perhaps Dr. Mahapatra and Professor Sharma, they were celebrating their distance education and everything. But we have to make it sustainable. Is it the future? Yes, we have to be online. We have to adapt technology. No problem in that. But what about the human element in the teaching learning process? Human. Students want life models. They want to see the teacher. I would give an example. You see, I requested one of my senior colleagues who is retired to take one online class. And he told me frankly that I don't have any interest there. I'm not very much inclined. Why, sir? It's not that he was not equipped in terms of knowledge and skill. It's not a fact that he doesn't have any technological exposure. But he wanted to see the students in front of him to deliver his lecture. So he was not willing. He was very reluctant. I could not get his services. And I have been taking online classes. My experience is initially students did not attend the classes. Various problems, network problems, power problems, technology problems. So, but I started being a bit strict by taking their attendance. And then gradually the number grew up. And I asked them by name. I became a bit personal. Only technology, through technology only, you can give instruction, but you cannot teach. What is important in teaching learning situation is the personality of the teacher. That is teaching. But through technology, we can just instruct, we can guide. Well, these ideas are all right, that will promote innovation and that will be the best. But we cannot reach all learners in the relevant age group. And our mission of this universalization of elementary education, our mission to fulfill the obligations under Right to Education Act, that cannot be attained, I'm sure. So again, we have to think of how to do it. And pedagogically, it's not at all sound. And you see some private institutions, they are trying their hands by using technology to educate the young learners. They're having online classes, even they're having different teacher training programs for those teachers through video conference, teleconference, things like that. But whether the information is passed on, is communicated, is understood or not, We cannot be sure. So let us talk about higher education, tertiary level. And as my friend Dr. Mahapatra told, this online learning, online examination, online admission, that is the order of the day. Classroom, traditional classroom has disappeared. Teachers with ICT background are preferred. So far as teachers at present who are working, if you make a survey, you will find that most of the teachers are not techno-savvy, as Professor Sharma is, or as Dr. Mahapatra is. We have not trained them that way. So, in the future, maybe, because we cannot live without technology, we have to incorporate that technology element, technology, pedagogy integration through the teacher education curriculum. Whatever integration has been done, it has not been very, very effective to my mind. So let us start with the admission. We have been doing e-admission in Odisha state. We have been experimenting. But there are some merits, some demerits. E-admission, that is the order in Odisha for +2 stages of education, or degree stages of education. At the university stage, we have been conducting online test also, but this has not been possible so far in Odisha. So you see, this e-admission has some problems, and then we can do better if government takes steps to improve the infrastructure, gadgets in government institutions. There is demand for electronic gadgets, digital library, smart classrooms, things like that. And for these, we need money, budget. Only 6% of our GNP was to be earmarked, was to be spent for education. We have been listening, starting from 60 policy to Kotri Commission report to 86 report. But is it 6%? Can it be 6% at this point of time? Can we expect them to spend so much? Of course, Professor Sharma was referring to the shortage of teachers, the scarcity of teachers. Scarcity of teachers is there, and scarcity of trained teachers, I mean teachers with techno background, that's not available. That is possible in case of a state like USA, where my daughter was doing her master's in law. Online program was successful there. There was no problem, no network problem, nothing. She could attend to all lectures. And also she could attend online examinations there. And she came back, just recently came back. Just yesterday she reached, and now she's at quarantine in Delhi. So I asked her, but is it all right? Would you prefer this mode, or you want to come back to this traditional mode, teaching learning situation where teacher becomes a facilitator? No, Papa. I want that mode. Of course, online will be there, that will be there, so that a solution will come out, a solution will emerge, and it will be an innovation. That is the order of the day. In America, that is all right, but in Indian situation, it's not very, feasible. Maybe it can be feasible. We can be very much optimistic now onwards. We can think of having technological gadgets in our schools, in our colleges, smart classrooms, and e-learning materials, all these things. Of course, you have been given the example of MOOCs, open educational resources, all those are there. But you see, I have been going through those materials. But what is important is you have to prompt the material, you have to screen the material, which is authentic, which is not authentic, which is valid, which is understood by the teacher, which can be understood by the students? That is a question. So many materials are floated, plus, but will it not confuse the learners? That is my problem. I myself, when I go for searching materials, I found many rough things. So you have to take time to hear it. A person like a teacher, a professional teacher, can guide a learner. This is the material. This appears to be authentic. You read this, and all these things, it's possible, not impossible. You see, OER, it's all right, but in the process, what is important, what our students will be missing is the use of reference books, the use of textbooks. They cannot use without reference book, without authentic books. I don't think quality knowledge will be possible. So, admission, that of course that will increase in private schools, but the result will be commercialization. These are neoliberal thinking, commercialization, profit. The child becomes a human capital. The school becomes a marketplace. We'll be producing entrepreneurs, right? Pay money and get your education. This is going to happen. In the name of quality education, institutions will come up, they will charge money, and parents will give it. Right? So this is going to happen. And in classroom, there will be virtual classroom, there will be, but there will not be a sense of campus. The physical environment of the child is very important. Students have not seen the campus for the last 3 months. So this sense of campus, this belongingness, this attachment, that will be not there in the mind of the students. And teaching, as I have told, it will be sort of instruction, not teaching, and the process will be mechanized. Students cannot, succeed in attaining the competencies, skills, practical learning, laboratory-based activities, all these things. For example, in teacher education institutions, we have to take the student to the field. That online teaching Professor Sarma was referring to, I don't know. I'm very skeptical about it. Right? For online teaching, I was taking an online examination yesterday only. I didn't find students comfortable. Through this medium, digital medium, I was taking an online examination yesterday only. My experience says that the students are not comfortable. They are not happy. I asked them at the end of the exam, are you comfortable with this way? And then you see in online examination, what will happen? There is also possibility of malpractice. You cannot. In a country like America, it's possible. They believe in ethics, values, things like that. They give you a question through the mail, and you give answer to the questions sitting at your home. And nobody will see whether you are, but they will give time. This is the time. That is the system there. And this is something which we have not been able to do in India. Such teachers of such ethical standards, students with proper value orientation, they should be good. They should be ready prior to the situation. So, bit of online test is all right. It is an alternative, but this is not to be a regular feature in future, particularly in a country like ours. So, classroom teaching will be affected, and the process will be mechanized. ICT cannot motivate and inspire the teachers. For the purpose of motivation, mobile technology, this TV, this computer, they cannot inspire, they cannot motivate, they cannot influence you, right? A machine cannot influence you, and the relationship between the teacher and student, that will be also affected, and it will be sort of dehumanization. Human values will be missing. Only animation, visualization, this will be there in the mind of the child, and teachers will be declassed. Heavy materials will be used, mobile technology that will be used, and you must know that everybody is not having a Android set. That is something we must know. And attendance, if you make it voluntary participation like and other things, that cannot be ensured. In IGNOU, they manage. Students will not come to the class. They are given materials. They will lead, and they will read, and they will take the exam. But in our case, we have 75% attendance to fill up the form, 80% attendance to fill up the form. That cannot be ensured anymore. So what is to be done? That is to be done away with. And these are the things: online teaching, e-library, webinar like this, online interaction, presentation, seminar, online courses are going on, or teachers, refresher courses, video conference, teleconference, things like that. Of course, in examination, online examination, there will be freedom and flexibility, and that can be achieved. But fair play cannot be ensured. It requires trained evaluators also for online evaluation. For online evaluation, we require trained evaluators. So it is not possible in case of large number of students. So these are the limitations of online admission. Like, of course, it is convenient for applicants. There is no need of logistic arrangement for the institution. This has also the advantage. Process is faster. Admission process. You can have database which can be filtered for selecting applications candidates, and the database can be used for other purposes also, and you can have accuracy and efficiency. You can demolish the geographical barriers. But disadvantages are computer literacy and internet access. Sometimes this is a problem in a remote area like Malkanagiri. Professor Sharma, if he is listening to me, he has come to Bhubaneswar and Cuttack and seen here, well acquainted with these places. But he must visit interior places, remote areas like Korapur, Navarampur, Raigada, remote tribal districts. What is happening there? So security concerns will be also there. You see, there is sometimes there is hacking, problem of server down, problem of server crash. All these things I have experienced when I was in charge of e-admission in BJP Autonomous College, Bhubaneswar. And infrastructure requirement, that's not there in government colleges. So these are the problems. And in online learning, of course, you don't have to go to the institution for learning. It will save your time, it will save your money, and it will save your energy. And this concept of anywhere, anytime learning advocated by distance experts, that's all right for an advocacy. But we have to ensure that things really happen and quality education is delivered. Self-paced learning is something that is all right. Self-guided learning materials, they have been providing self-learning materials, but no face-to-face contact. Lack of library, laboratory for practical work, there is a problem. difficulty in addressing students' problem, another problem, and you have self-motivation. That is something. You see, how can a child motivate himself? Can he motivate himself on his own? We have to think of attendance. That is a problem. They will not attend classes. Students will be isolated. And you see, there are also different fraudulent courses. All courses are not IGNOU courses. Fraudulent courses, fake courses, that has been also coming up. And in the process, there is also possibility of misappropriation of funds. I am not talking about all the disadvantages because of, the limitations I want to highlight on distance education. I am in support of technology, but online, to my mind, should not be lifeline for students, right? So can a student connect himself wholeheartedly with the program? Wholeheartedly, heart out. My daughter said me no. After being exposed to this online admission, she did it in face-to-face mode for one semester, and for another semester, she had to be online for completion of the course because of the this spread of corona. So practical classes we have to think of, because knowledge and action, the knowledge, they say praxis, knowledge, reflection, application, all these things, I don't think will be very much possible. And this screen viewing problem, how long a man like me can view the screen for a long time, right? These are the problems. In spite of that, I am quite impressed with two things. That is different e-learning models are coming up. These are the days of new pedagogy, they say, self-learning models. And this is something flipped classroom, where homework first, then face-to-face lecture to apply knowledge, to do assignments in the class. This is flipped learning, right? In a class in America, they give you materials. You read the materials, distributed reading materials. One American professor is there, he will perhaps agree with me. They give the materials fast. They go through and then they attend the class, face-to-face classroom. If you don't read those materials, you cannot understand anything. That is the observation of one of the students there. Right? So, this is something to become, there is scope to combine two things with the help of technology. That is acceptable. That will be sustainable to my mind. Similarly, another thing is blended learning. Similar type of thing, blended learning. Already UGC has given us guideline, go online for 20%, 25% of the courses, and do face-to-face, do 75% of the classes in face-to-face modality. So here in blended learning, also what do we do? Online materials doesn't replace the face-to-face teaching, but it becomes an additional support. So these two things are very important. I can make a subtle difference between the two models. If you want to extend the classroom learning, go for blended learning. And if you want to make more time for practical teaching, flip your classroom. These are the two things. Otherwise, self-learning materials, you have to give self-learning materials in modular form. And nowadays, things are getting more and more standardized. Same type of material, same type of test administered by NCRT for all students. Why? So I want to introduce technology with a human touch. There should be a bit of balancing. Introduce technology. COVID-19 situation, this is required. But don't go away with this. I mean, uh, traditional teaching. Don't reduce the value of face-to-face teaching. It has its own importance. It cannot be reduced to unimportance. Teacher has to be respected. Anybody, if you see that teacher is a service provider, a neoliberal concept, that will deteriorate the quality of education. Don't see the teacher as a service provider, the student as a human capital. He has to get something, the end point, learning performance, learning outcomes. These are the things. So, if you want to make it an exciting teaching learning situation, you can make use of technology. You can adapt educational technology. You see, actually, the flow of information is so fast. The knowledge is coming at a very faster pace. Where this is therefore they call it knowledge society, knowledge economy. So we have to adapt technology, but that should be a means to an end. That should not be an end in itself. That is my observation. Technology should not be an end in itself. It should be a means to an end. So, in a situation like this, we have to think of, and we have to see the feasibility, the relevance, the contextuality of the technology. And we have to equip our teachers. You say teacher education in India is in a very bad shape. No teacher educators. In a state like Odisha, there is a problem. Even teacher education institutions have been closed for the kind of information of Dr. Sharma because there are no teachers. NCT has withdrawn its recognition. I know this problem is not there because you have colleges under non-government management like Rajendra Academy. So as long as they are doing well, it is welcome. As long as they are commercializing education, teacher education, then I will not accept the idea. So it should not be only technology or only face-to-face like that. We have to think of a balancing, a reconciliation between digital mode and face-to-face mode. So let us keep the dignity of the teacher intact. Let us use technology as per our need and as per our availability. And the government should have to take a very key role so that everything can be done. But our idea that we can reach the remote areas, technology can be instrumental in quantitative expansion of education. Technology can also help in qualitative improvement of education. It will not be possible without the support of the teacher. Teacher must be there. Technology should be a medium. Technology should be a tool. Technology should be a means. And let us remember that if the means is right, the end will be all right. So don't think of quantitative expansion, mass production of students. This is Saksharata Abhiyan. All people are literate. What is the meaning of this literacy if it is not functional? So I think my time is over, madam. No, I can continue. Tell me, is it over? Be frank with me, no problem. There are so many people are abroad, they should speak. Huh? Thank you so much, Paschim Babu, Chakrabarti ji, for giving me an opportunity to share my views, to share my experiences. And I didn't get time to go into the details of all digital approaches, but the talks will go on like this, right? To what extent do we adopt technology or not? Thank you so much for giving me this opportunity. I'm grateful to all of you. Thank you, everybody, for giving me a patient listening.
Thank you.
Yes? All right?
Yes. Well,
We have some questions. Have you got some questions for me?
No, sir.
No, nothing.
No, sir. Lots of thanks,
Okay.
sir. It's a really a need-based
Okay.
information and a wonderful speech we got from you. Thank you, sir, for spending with us your precious and valuable time. Yes, you have really graced this occasion. Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you. Next, it's our honor to invite our esteemed speaker from abroad, Mr. Donald A. McLam, who is a financial analyst, North Carolina Department of Health and Human Services in US. Sir, it's my humble request to deliver your speech and lead this event. So please.
Thank
Am
you
I
so
audible, sir? Yes.
thank you so much. Namaste,
Namaste, sir.
my friends and colleagues. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I'm going to bring a uniquely personal experience to this presentation, and I hope you will enjoy it. My family said to me earlier today, "How will you stay awake to do this? Because you realize you will be on between 1:30 a.m. and probably 4:30 a.m." I said, "I slept 12 hours last night, no problem. Plus I'm drinking tea, green tea, so I should be okay." Thank you so much. I want to say that I was born and raised in America. Um, my mother passed away some 8 years ago. My father is still here, thank God. I really, really love life. I respect the institution of family connections. It's so special. It's what brings us all together. Family connections. I can't say enough in support of this. And one more thing, please forgive me. American English is quite a bit different from British English. You probably can tell by the way I speak. The United States also, among dozens of other nations, declared independence from Great Britain in 1776. And, and it was the mission of the founding fathers of America to change many of the institutions that Great Britain brought to us. So one of them certainly is our language and the spelling of words. So thought you might find that entertaining to start. One thing about myself, I have grown to love the country of India. Roughly 3 years ago, I started a business with a man from Chandigarh, Punjab, who is one of my great friends. We're very close. I own a call center in Chandigarh. This gives me a unique opportunity to return to India many times, and I do plan to do so. I also have another reason to return to India. The love of my life lives right there in Durgapur. Hi, honey, and her family. I love them all. They hosted me for 1 month back in November, December 2018. Thank you so much for that. I love you all. Okay. So, that all said, the personal stuff behind me, I want to get to one of the first things. COVID-19. Since this outbreak was first diagnosed, it has spread to over 200 countries and to all 50 US states. The pandemic is negatively affecting global economic growth beyond anything experienced in nearly a century. Estimates so far indicate that the virus could trim global economic growth by 3 to 6% in 2020, with a partial recovery in 2021, assuming there is not a second wave of infections. The economic fallout from the pandemic raises the risk of a global economic recession with levels of unemployment not experienced since the Great Depression of the 1930s in the United States. The human costs in terms of lives lost will permanently affect global economic growth in addition to the cost of rising levels of poverty, lives upended, careers derailed, and increased social unrest. I'm sure you've all seen the social unrest in the United States during the past few weeks. The United States is a melting pot of nations. We have probably more citizens from all over the world than any other country. We literally have people living in the USA from every country on earth. That is a blessing, very much so. I love every person. We're very diverse in America. But it's also a curse when it comes to civil unrest, which we are experiencing now. I want to acknowledge what Dr. Sharma said, and that is that coronavirus started in China. There is no doubt that is proven. It started in China. But in the United States, the effort to become politically correct with every statement means that any statement that indicates racial, ethnic, or other bias is not tolerated by a certain segment of our population. It's unfortunate that the politicization of COVID-19 and other social ideologies is dividing the United States. The same is true in Great Britain, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and parts of South Africa, the English-speaking nations. My father is from Scotland. My mother is from England. I'm first-generation American, and I'm grateful to be here. I live a good life. I'm not rich, but I have more than the average person in the world, and I'm so grateful for that. Thank you, God. Traveling throughout India, which I did a year and a half ago, I saw life in India as it is. I so respect that. With 4 times more people than we have in the United States, on less than 2.2 times the land area, India has done amazing things, and I continue to study it, read about it, sing the praises of what is being done in India. Remarkable. So with that said, let me move on. Let me get reconnected to the COVID-19 situation. I am a chartered accountant, so therefore statistics, numbers are important to me. I study numbers and I make some decisions and calculations how to move forward based on statistics. This is from the Congressional Budget Office in the United States. Due to COVID-19, the U.S. economy is not expected to recover from coronavirus until the year 2029. That's 9 years from now. And this recovery is not expected to begin until next year. The Congressional Budget Office projects that COVID-19 pandemic will cost the U.S. nearly $8 trillion in lost economic output during this decade. That's down from 3% of pre-pandemic projections. The Congressional Budget Office says that consumer spending in the U.S. will decline amid high unemployment, and while many out-of-work Americans will get back to work starting this summer as states reopen, we expect it will take a decade for employment to return to pre-pandemic levels. There are many nations on earth that are working on a coronavirus vaccine, and personally, I wouldn't choose to travel on an airline now without taking a proven vaccine for coronavirus. Many U.S. states reopened earlier than others, and those that reopened are now experiencing a spike in coronavirus cases. That is not what was expected. It is depressing, and we must all do our part to protect ourselves and protect others from this deadly virus. On a personal note, I want to say that my father's brother was diagnosed 2 days ago with COVID-19. He is age 80. He has a number of health issues. The doctors say it's not expected that he will survive. But I pray that he will. And I also pray for all those other people around the world who have been affected greatly by this global pandemic. Not to be irrespective of any country or peoples, but I have to reiterate something that Dr. Sharma said earlier. This virus did originate in China. It is indeed a virus that was born in China. I'm not saying that China is bad. I have friends from China, and they are great people. But the government of China, I think, hid the virus from the world for too long until it became a pandemic across the globe. So I'm forever hopeful that in the future, China will help the world to recover from coronavirus and share their methodologies. Okay. Moving on, the Journal of American Medical Association published a study based on a survey in 2020, early on, about coronavirus. In the study, they sought to rapidly access public concerns about the coronavirus in the United States before shelter-in-place orders were widely implemented. Specifically, they addressed concerns about COVID-19, its symptoms, and individual actions in response to the pandemic. I would like to share with you now a graph that shows some statistics. If I might click on share screen here. Let's see, is that working? I'm trying to share screen. It's not working so well. So basically what I want to point out is that COVID-19 concerns by generation are somewhat different between different age groups. Generation Z, which is ages 18 to 24. Millennials, ages 25 to 39. Generation X, ages 40 to 54.
Yes, sir. You can share the screen.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Yes. Try this again. Okay, I'm trying to share the screen. Maybe there's a delay, possibly.
Sure.
Sorry for the delay. We're trying.
Yes, sir. No issue. You can proceed. No issue, sir. You can proceed. You can take your
Okay.
time.
Oh,
Yes,
thank you. Thank you. Trying to be not monotonous with my speech, because I have been in many presentations in the past, and it's wonderful when someone shares something personal that's interesting. It breaks the monotony. Thank you so much. Wow, that screen is not coming up here.
Okay. You want
That's
to conclude?
Sure, no problem. Thank you.
Okay, sir.
I will share this. I was talking about the different generations, ages of people. The people who are very concerned about COVID-19 are those who are age 76 and beyond. Baby boomers, ages 55 to 75, are very concerned, but they're not as concerned as the older people. And as we know, the older people are the ones who are most affected. In the United States, many who are living in adult care homes, assisted living facilities. That's where more than 40% of deaths have occurred in the United States. We got the bad news yesterday. I think I shared this earlier. My uncle, my dad's brother, has COVID-19. He's age 80 with many health concerns. He's not expected to live. Makes me very sad, but I'm praying that God will keep him here for us and have some quality of life. That is a deeply human element. This is the first person I've known with COVID-19, my own uncle. So definitely it is hitting me and my family directly. Some of the lifestyle changes in response to COVID-19 that have been reported due to this study are, this is in order of the most significant: washing hands more often. We have to wash our hands. Our hands touch surfaces, common surfaces that may carry the virus when we go outside our homes. So we must wash our hands often. Avoiding social gatherings. In United States, U.S. states like Florida, Texas, California, social gatherings are big because those are very populous states. That's where a lot of the transmission of COVID is coming in. Some of the more conservative U.S. governors are recognizing that, and they're saying we must pull back. We must avoid large social gatherings. The third item, stocking up on food and supplies. That's just common sense, in my opinion. If there is a pandemic or any other significant major global phenomenon like COVID-19, we need to keep sufficient food and supplies on hand, more so than we normally would, just in case it's not safe for us to go out and procure those things. The fourth item, avoiding or canceling domestic travel. That's travel, mainly airline travel, but also on buses within the US and other countries. We know that proximity and close contact is a way to transmit COVID-19. We must limit those opportunities. And when we must be in close contact with other people, we need to wear a mask. That is being proven to be life-saving. The fifth one, working from home. Many Americans are working from home thanks to technological advancements. That is quite possible now. As I heard from earlier presenters in India, the same is true. Education, work, etc., are being facilitated by technology, working from home. It makes sense, and it reduces costs, reduces effort, makes our products more affordable and our services for every country. The next one is avoiding places like gymnasiums and exercise classes. That is also a place where people are in close contact and can spread the virus if they are positive. So most gyms in the United States are closed now still and won't be open probably until a vaccine comes out or until something significant changes to reduce the incidence of COVID-19. The next one on the list, avoiding or canceling international travel. It's widely believed and known that the first cases of COVID, which came from Wuhan, China, came to the world primarily through airline travel. I went to India a year and a half ago on an airline, 36 hours from my home in the USA to Delhi, and then about the same amount of time returning to the USA. That's a lot of time to be on an encapsulated transmission travel thing like an airline. So we have to be mindful of where we are and how close we are to other people. Two more, avoiding routine healthcare appointments. A lot of people in the United States are indeed foregoing their opportunities for routine healthcare, such as annual physical exams, dental checkups, etc. Those would be considered optional unless there's a life-threatening event. They certainly are optional. And in the US, many doctor offices are conducting examinations online with their patients. That is a good thing. With modern technology, we can find out. Not attending classes. Most US colleges, universities, high schools, and other schools of learning have canceled classes in person, and they're going to online classes. I really believe this is the future for us and for the world. It's a good thing if it can limit and prevent deaths and the spread of COVID-19. Okay? One thing I look at every day is, and I'm going to try to share the screen once again here. I'm not sure it will work. I wish I could. It may not work. Okay. What I'm going to do is give you a web address for a website that tracks COVID-19 in every country of the world. And it's updated real time. The United States is number 1 in total cases and deaths, unfortunately. Brazil's number 2. Russia is number 3. India has risen from way down when I first started viewing this site. India is now number 4. But let me give you the web address. This is interesting. It will keep you updated on statistics of COVID-19 in every country and also states and districts within each country. The website is worldometers.info/coronavirus/. That's worldometers.info/coronavirus. Please refer to this site as it gives updated real-time information about coronavirus around the world. That's about all I have tonight. I thank you all so much again for being here, for allowing me to participate from the United States. As I said, I love you all in India. It's become my second home country. Thank you again. And I hope that I can be a part of this and future presentations. I hope you enjoyed it, and please feel free to contact me through Dr. Swine and Rajendra if you have any questions. I'm always happy to provide input and insight. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. God bless. Thank you so much. Have a great rest of your day, everyone. God bless.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I bow my head in gratitude for gracing this event. Really, sir, it's a praiseworthy that you have spent a valuable time on this midnight with us. Really, it's a very informative and valuable information we received from you. Thank you, sir. We will ever be grateful to you. Thanks a lot. Namaste.
Namaste.
Thank you, sir. Next, we are extremely fortunate to recognize our next honorable speaker, Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chowdhury, an Associate Professor, Department of Peace and Conflict Studies, Dhaka University, Bangladesh. Sir, please join with us to lead this event.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
Thanks for inviting me here. It
Thank you,
was
sir.
very nice to have an opportunity to give my lecture. Last year, I visited Rajendra Academy. It was a very memorable experience. I would like to thanks once again Honorable Chairman Jayanta Kumar Chakraborty for and Dr. B.C. Swine, the principal, for their warm reception at the time. And still, I am in good connection with the students, teachers of Rajendra Academy, and it was a very fortunate and memorable one. I was listening to the lectures of my esteemed colleagues and senior professors, and it was a very good opportunity to hear the lecture from Dr. Sharma. I'm really enlightened to hear his lecture. And once again, we met last year, Dr. Mohapatra and Professor Nanda. It's nice to see you again here. And thanks to Mr. Donald MacLamb for your experience sharing and informing us what's going on in USA. Thanks to Dr. Chattopadhyay, Dr. Mukherjee, Mr. S. Roy, Dr. Indranil Ghosh for joining with this webinar. The situation is in Bangladesh. I'm just briefing a little, then I'm going to my main lecture. Is deteriorating and it's a little alarming. We have a community level transformation at this moment, and the thing is, like many other country in the world, we are just working from home, especially the education sector. Educational institutions are totally closed. We are taking online classes from home, and it's widely expected. Many schools, especially in the urban areas around the country, they are taking online classes just to engage the little kids, and universities also are going through this process, and it's very important for the mental health of the students. What I am really worried about, especially in the case of youths and students, my main concern is their mental health. We are adult, we are trying to cope up with, and in many cases we are little frustrated and not feeling good. So those who are in that age, what's their situation, we really need to understand. So now I'm trying to say something on my today's lecture.
Yes, all the participants and the viewers, please wait. There may be some technical problem. critical, we know. So each one of us are facing through this tough situation. So it's a very challenging for all of us. But one very important thing is that we should.
I'm having trouble in sharing the screen.
Yes, sir.
So it's
You can just convey the message without the screen also. No issue, sir.
okay. So are you seeing the screen now?
Screen. Yes, it's visible, sir. Screen is
Okay.
visible. I
Thank
can
you.
see you. Yeah, yeah.
So my today's lecture is on pedagogical challenges of online education, and it's no very important at this moment when most of us who were very familiar with the face-to-face classes, now depending on the situation, we need to develop these things and take online classes, and we don't know how long we need to take this. And the thing is, we are not saying that it's the um, alternative for these things, but it's the reality. And maybe in future, in the coming years, we need to adopt this kind of technologies which is widely used in many part of Western world, as well as in the developing countries. We are also start trying to use these things. In Bangladesh, we have open university where distance learning in online mode they are trying to doing for the last 12 years. And we have under the A2I program, we have some online teachers education things, as well as developing some lectures and others, which is very good. If we go to the A2I sites, and then you will get such kind of things. So our first question, what is pedagogy? Most of you present here, you know what it is, but for those who are not from education, it's the method and practice of teaching, especially as an academic subject or theoretical concept. It encompasses, while people talk about the pedagogy of teaching, they will be referring to the way teachers deliver the content of the curriculum to a class. In short, we can say so. So what's the problem when we are trying to introduce the online classes depending on the situation of COVID-19? The first problem is the adaptability struggle, and it's entirely different for students. And the first thing from my experience, when we discussed for a long time, we did survey, we did interview and other ways with the students, that what is their opinion before starting the online classes. So the first thing, more large number of students, they their resistance to change does not allow them to the online learning environment. So they were not ready, they were not accustomed with such kind of approach. But it's necessary to make them understand and to encourage them. It's for their education as well important for their mental health. And here we are just trying to cover some research and other things, the findings. And here we are mentioning one research. It's on changing learner profile and the changed learner behaviors in online learning. Here, those who are dealing with education, these things are very important in the case of pedagogy. In the screen, you are seeing Hampel and Stickler work from 2005. It's very popular in this area. So they identified 7 key components for successful online teaching. If you just look at the screen, you are seeing the points. And if we start from the, it's like pyramid shape, and if we start from the lower level, the basic ICT competence, specific technical competence for the software, dealing with constraints and possibilities in the medium. These three lower levels, they are mostly dealing with hardware and software issues, the ICT issues. Most importantly, level 4 and level 5, online socialization and facilitating communicative competence. These two is very important and directly related with the pedagogy things. So I would like to uh, share the audience to just have a focus on online socialization and level 4 and 5, facilitating communicative competence. So in online socialization, you may understand what's these things. Just remember, when you are hearing this lecture, just compare what we usually do in the face-to-face sessions and what we are doing in the online environment. Socialization is very important. It's not necessary to explain here. And just remember, try to remember your experience, what you did in your class or the previous classes.
Sorry, there is some network problem. Please wait. The viewers, please wait. Yes, our institution rate is to provide different teacher education courses, AMED, BEd, DLEd, and the online admission is going on. Even though in that there is also AMED courses, and also we used to provide special spoken English classes for the coaching for the NET, SLET, CCT. Many coaching are being given to our students to provide helping hands. We have also placement facilities. Our pass out student used to take these facilities, used to provide yes, so it's very fortunate that today we are organizing this international webinar. It's a hats off to our managing committee, to our respected principal, to our honorable chairman, sir. We are really privileged to organize such a wonderful program. Yes, it's really, during this situation, all of us should follow the rules and regulations the government has given. In spite of that, I think the teachers are very much taking initiative to provide those materials, the study materials, to all the sections of students. Intelligence, quotient, but now during this situation, which is playing a very, very critical role, that the students or the people are facing mental problem and are very we can say that which we can hear this different terrains in our life which they can't tackle. So it's very important that SQ, that is social quotient and emotional quotient, should also be emphasized while we teach our students, so that they can control their emotions, they can know how to live in a society. And now there's a new paradigm which we should emphasize during this pandemic, during this tough situation, that is adversity quotient. So, due to this technical problem, we will just turn over to our next honorable speaker, Dr. Mrinal Mukherjee, Assistant Professor and Coordinator in West Bengal University of Teacher Training, Education, Planning and Administration, Kolkata. Sir, it's my humble request you to join with us. Can you hear me, sir?
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Yeah,
Yes.
fine. So,
Yes, you can.
good evening to everybody, and thank you. Good evening to everybody for organizing such a webinar and providing us an opportunity so that we can share our ideas with each other and can support each other. First of all, I want to thank the chairman of this Rajendra Academy, Mr. Chakraborty, the principal of the Rajendra Academy, Professor Sharma, Professor Mahapatra, Professor Nanda, and Maclab from USA, my colleague Shabir Ahmed, and my colleague from Bardhaman University, and all other speakers. So we are going through tough time in a way, and on the other, we are enjoying certain kinds of advantages in one sense. My issue is that because there were some questions coming into the chat box to elaborate on the mental health, but I didn't consider to speak on that because I choose to speak on the contemporary challenges, what kind of adaptation we have to adapt in the coming times. So I just given focus with that, and I will switch over to my next issues. First of all, there is a new idea that's called the social homeostasis. You know, from the science background, homeostasis is the concept of the stability. In any machine, in a cybernetic system, there is the input and there is the output system, and always the input-output balance is maintained, and that is called homeostasis. But this homeostasis does not only maintain in the instrumentation of the machine, it is also needed for the social system. It has been experimented on the chimpanzee and the monkey and the also dolphins and birds, that they need a tremendous social cohesion. The need for the social interaction is equal important like that of the hunger. So when we are going through such kind of pandemic, it is creating a disassociation, social disassociation. The physical distance became a social distance. And as because the normalcy of the everyday routine is being paralyzed, we are forced to lead a isolation. We are confronting with a situation which is out of that of the normalcy. So the forced isolation, forced quarantine, creating a lot of pressure on our mental health, and we are really struggling. We are really struggling to keep ourselves functioning, active. but we have to have faced the challenges because it is temporary, and we have to use the alternative ways how to explore our creativity, how to be remain active, and we have to have concentrated on the meditation, yogas, and have to have lead an active life in everyday basis for exercise. At the same time, the opportunity to explore which the good habits which have left out for our everyday pressure. Now it's creating an opportunity for us to explore such kind of good habits and hobbies, and to go for the reading for new books. There are a lot of new books, lot of new knowledge, and we have to explore that. We have to cognitively engage us with that of kind of interaction, and that can help us to propel up. And we have to interact with other in the telephonic manner, in the utilizing technology. We have to have correlation with our family members, having chat, having more family time at the same time to our friends and close persons in terms of telephone and all other medias. But don't be bogged down into the social medias, because social media may pose another challenges in one way. Okay, I'm going to my present issues. The issue I want to share with you. So, is my presentation is visible? Hello, hello, hello. Is my presentation is visible? Hello.
Sir, yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, fine, fine. So I'm going
Yes,
to my next topic. I will try my level best to be brief. So I selected to speak on rethinking for relearning in the new normal. I choose the term new normal in the sense because the normalcy we are talking about is not new. It's a new. New is something completely new. But new is something, the which kind of new you are manufacturing. The future, you just not rely on the naturality, rather human giving an input to considering the new structure. So that is the new. But if we go forward, just I don't believe that we can return back to the normalcy where we were, because we were preparing ourselves for the new kind of changes, and pandemic is just a pause. It has created a chance to reflect and to rethink our ideas. If you see that there is a smart news that an novel has been written by the artificial intelligence as a co-writer with the human being, and that is nearly winning a prize in the Japan in a competitive literary festival. So novel is written by a robot in that sense, by artificial intelligence, and that is competing with the human being. Next, I want to share a news. The SBR bank in Soviet Russia that has deployed 35% loan distribution on the artificial intelligence. That is, if there is 100% to get the loan, 35% loan decision has been taken by the artificial intelligence. And this bank has deployed 70% is legal matter on 11 robots. And these 11 robots has replaced 3,000 human lawyers. Just consider, when they are moving to the court, all the technical legal decision is taken by the robot. 11 robot has replaced 3,000 lawyers. And this SBR bank in Russia decided that they are switch over to the only 11,000 employee, where their standing employees is 59,000. That is 60,000 employee will be replaced within 2021 by only 1,000 employee by inputting from that of the artificial intelligence and robotics. So this is the global scenario, and this is actually going on before this pandemic. I want to share one thing. In Forbes magazine, Steve Brown was asked to comment on whether this health crisis passes, what do we expect from the new normal to look like? And Brown responded, a recent piece of graffiti in Hong Kong proclaims we cannot return to the normal, because the normal we had was precisely a problem. So there are a lot of problems in our thinking style, in our practice, in our normalcy, in our habit, in our developmental paradigm. So we cannot return to that very normal. And COVID is creating an opportunity, a pause, a great pause to reflect and introspection that what kind of society we want, what kind of normalcy we want to restore. And Brown again replied that the human being has to prepare, because we have to face such kind of pandemic at every generation, as referred by Bill Gates. And Brown told that there is 6 technologies, that is artificial intelligence, blockchain, sensor autonomous machine, augmented reality, 5G, and satellite constellation network combined with create a new kind of product system and delivery system, and it will revolutionize the entire business and the production mechanism. And if we cannot tally our capacity, our ability, our efficiency with that, we cannot match with the change situation and will be left out from the system. Before that, in 2010, OECD has mentioned that technology is making a massive influence in the teaching learning modalities, in the teaching learning climate and environment. Technology can perform several key functions in the change processes, including opening up new opportunities and improvement of the teaching learning, particularly with the affordance of the customization of the learning to individual learner needs, which is highly supported by the learning science. The skills of an adult life, including technology literacy, and people who do not acquire the master these competencies may suffer from the digital divide, and which will impact their capacity to operate effectively in the new kind of knowledge economy. And technology is an integral part of assessing higher education competencies, often referred to 21st century skills. So our college, our university, our institution of higher education, what kind of education they are offering? Are they making their learner competent enough, capable enough to delivery to match with that of the demands of the 21st century? Even our nation cannot do away with that. We cannot be separated with the mainstreaming of the global level. We have to have integrated in the mainstream of the global practice. So we have to have depend on the technology, and the hindrance, our tendency to avoid technology is being do away, is being overcome, overruled by this kind of pandemic. And pandemic has forced us to move further. I just want to share a few information. The increasing adoption of the artificial intelligence as a technology for various application in the education sector and growing need for multilingual translator integrated with the artificial intelligence technology are expected to drive growth in artificial intelligence in education market. So in Byju's is giving advertisement in every frequent in the time, and most of the parents in the urban sector are downloading the WhatsApp. The Khan Academy is gaining huge profit, and the government institutions, school and colleges remain passive in that way. And there is a creation of huge market for the education, and multilingual translation and artificial intelligence in making their inroads, in impacting, in influencing the entire learning methodology. And artificial intelligence is no longer just remain in the science fiction film. The tools like the Siri and Amazon Alexa have already proved that education will be the next major area where artificial intelligence will dominate, and Internet of Things will be the major issue. Artificial intelligence is now enhancing tools used by the days in classrooms around the world. So the complex set of algorithms and the software that powered by the iPhone and Siri is a typical example of the artificial intelligence. And artificial intelligence is used by the IBM in their Watson supercomputer, which is utilized for training the primary teachers in several countries. Now the teachers are trained by the machines, and thereby they are translating their capacity in the classroom level. And the available of the cutting edge adaptive technologies not only can deliver the desired instruction, they also assessing the learner with a similar capacity like that of the teacher. Most importantly, some people are not learning mathematics from their teacher, but they are doing better score in mathematics when they are tutored by the machine. So the machine has imposed a challenge before the teacher. The artificial intelligence is making the entire mechanism, entire landscape of learning in a paradigm shift. So the profession of teaching is being challenged. But still I do believe being teacher, that teacher cannot be replaced by any other machine. Whatever kind of machine is there, whatever kind of technology is there, the efficacy of the machine always depend upon the teacher and the human resources. So it is our time to relook with that of the entire process of the higher education, what kind of human capital we want to produce. Are they ready to take the challenges? Because learning is going to change. We are just before the pandemic, we were in the emergency or emerging level of technology. Now you are at the applying level. We have to have infused technology in a more higher degree so that we can transform the entire landscape of learning. We have to have adopt certain kind of techno pedagogy which will push up our boundary of our knowledge, because today knowledge is not just information. You have to curate the information. You have to reproduce the information. You have to reinterpret the information, and these depend heavily on the study of the possibilities, sentimental studies, and the probability studies by means of the technology. And we want to go for a deep learning, not a mere information. And if we want to go deep learning, we have to have combined We have to move from the old pedagogies to the new pedagogies. We have to move from non-technical to the technical area. We have to move from non-technology to the technology-based approach. And the combination of this technology and combination of the new pedagogies really create an climate and environment where it is possible to deep learning. Deep learning means we have to prepare ourselves for problem-solving capacity. We have to make ourselves as a more critical thinker, and we have to compete with the robots. This is the level of challenge, and this is the level of complexity of the new global paradigm. And as we want to for deep learning from the school to the university level, so there are three driving force which is influencing our learning. The new system of economics, the production mechanism was not like that of the 15 years or 50 years back. The entire production chain has been moved away. The automation has been augmented in the production units. The service-based economies is dominating our understanding, and new kinds of technologies manipulating the entire climate. So we have to go for the deep learning, and deep learning further propelled by, pushed by new system of economics, new change of leadership, and new kind of pedagogies. Even the political scenario will not same as before. The political practice will not same as before. The leadership practice will be changed. The leadership in the industry, the leadership in the social sector will also be changed, and it depends upon the peoples who have that kind of deep learning. And we cannot only provide such kind of deep learning for a smaller section of the society, but we have to be inclusive. So we have to change our thinking so that we can build some competency, because what the students are learning in the school at class 9 will not help them after 20 years in managing their life in the future, professional life and social life. What the students are learning in the college will not be beneficial and instrumental for them in their future life. But what we have to learn, the generic structure, the skills, the competencies, the bent of analytical bent of mind, the capacity of reasoning, the capacity of the super analytical thinker. That kind of the generic competencies and the skill will really can help the learner to mitigate the challenges, the problem. Now you are facing mental problem. If you had that kind of caliber, if you came through that kind of practices of life, if you from the very beginning of your life has faced this kind of challenges, and if you have confidence that yes, I can mitigate my problem, I can restore my competencies, then only you can survive. So not only in case of the mental health, in every issues you have to have faced the challenges. And we are just still in the information consumption. In India, majority we are still restricted in just curating the information of net, practicing some exam or for IIT or some school level exam, and we are just considering some reports and essays. But we have to move to the high level of use of technology. And this high level of movement, if we go from down to up, from information to we can go near in knowledge creation. Till the time majority even in higher education, the student and teacher are accumulator of the knowledge and dumper of the knowledge. This is not time only accumulation and dumping. It is time to curate the knowledge. There are a lot of knowledge. We produce a knowledge in a single day that is produced in 100 years, just 50 years back. So there are a lot of knowledge. You have to curate like a museum, that what is the most precious information. Then you have to manipulate the information, reorient the information, and human-machine relationship is being manipulated. So this change of relationship of the human being and machine is a major factor. We have to provide our mastery on the machine. But how it be possible? Is it so easy to just carry on the teaching learning in the online environment? Is it very easy to teach in the virtual climate? Is it very easy to accommodate the learner with that individual identity and group identity? Because every individual is a social enterprise. Every individual has a social identity. Unless and until a teacher and student can having that kind of affective relationship, emotional engagement, no teaching learning is possible. Yes, some senior professor has put it down that teaching learning in the virtual environment is not just a cakewalk, it's not a cup of tea. The teacher have to have learned the skills, and they have to have understand that what kind of necessity is there. And there are major models, because every teacher has to have a social presence, because the individual is not a machine. Man is not machine. Man can use the machine, but a teacher, a learner is a social individual, emotional individual. So the emotional presence in the online environment is a must. Then cognitive presence, that kind of cognition, your capacity to recognize, your capacity to interpret, your capacity to respond, your capacity to create from the subjective reality, that is a very much important. At the same time, teaching learning is in case of teaching learning, the teaching presence, because that is a skill of the teacher, the pedagogical strategies and technique, that is very much important. Otherwise, teaching learning in the virtual platform is not possible. And if we go further, the social presence, it needs certain kind of categories: open communication, group cohesion, personal and affective relationship. So as far as technology is concerned, we have to adapt both synchronous technology, that is common platform, and personal communication by asynchronous technology. So learning climate should be free. Everybody should allow to express their view. Everybody should allow to make their presence. Everybody allowed to come with their innate culture. The teacher must be free from his cultural bias, and therefore there is a group identification, group collaboration, and self-projection. The learner should have the opportunity to project his ideas, his views, and thereby such kind of emotion and bonding is very much necessary in the online platform. Then the cognitive presence, similarly cognitive activity is very much essential in the face-to-face class. But as we are thinking of the hybridization, that is face-to-face and non-face-to-face, physicality and digitality, so such kind of combination needs a new kind of cognitive presence. And here we need a sense of puzzlement, information exchange, connecting ideas. We have to move from disagreement to the agreement. We have to debate within us, and from the debate we have to resynthesize new kind of ideas, and we have to learn to apply the new ideas in solving our present problem. And teaching presence means what kind of curriculum, how the teacher are adapting the curriculum. Even when in teacher education, in B.Ed and M.Ed, we have shifted to the virtual classroom. Is it possible to cater all components, or is it necessary to address all components? No, we have to customize the curriculum. We have to make curriculum more flexible. We have to make more acceptable, shaping constructive exchange, and we have to focus on resolving issues. We have to address the student personal problem and what really a student is facing in addressing, in delivering, in delegating his personal or her personal problem, and that is needed to be taken care by means of the teacher on the virtual and online environment. And it is for my advice and my proposal for the newcomers who are struggling to being absorbed in the professional life, those who are at the completion of the B.Ed or M.Ed, because they are struggling to having some job in the market. So I tell everybody is not going to get a job. Everybody is not going to be a very smooth journey. What they could do, just consider your mindscape, what you love, involve your passion and mission. Your mission, what you want to be, should be related with your passion. The work you does not prefer, what you don't love, don't push for that. If you're not that kind of innate teaching capacity, if you are not a person who can convince others very readily, if you're not a person who can manage a large community of people, you cannot be a teacher. So you should have a passion and mission in collaboration, and you can be further more effective in delivering for your profession. Now, what you need, what you love, that is an important question. At the same time, what you're good at, what is your natural efficiency. Some people can lead with instrument in a very easy manner. Some people can read for longer time and also interpret what he or she is reading. Some people can play a different kind of instrument. Some people have a very good voice, and he or she can recite and can sing well. So try to understand what you're good at, what kind of capacity, innate capacity you have. Now you make mix that with your passion and with your profession. Then that is not major issue. At the same time, what the world needs, you have a certain kind of capacity, you have a certain kind of ideas, you may skill in certain areas, but does world is working for? World has been changed. So what is world needs? What kind of capacity you have to correlate it with the demand of the situation. Now the
Okay, Ahmed sir की जानी full There is some technical problem. I think there is some technical problem for the Dr. Minal Mukherjee, sir. I think we will switch over to Dr. Sabir Ahmed Chaudhary, sir. Sir, you can proceed. Sir, am I audible to you?
Yes.
Yes, Ahmed, sir. Am I audible?
Yes, you are audible.
Yes, sir, you
Yes,
can proceed.
I'm hearing you. No, just to mention where I stopped, I don't have any idea.
Yes, you have given the second screen. You have shown some seven steps.
Okay.
Yes, 7 key components for successful teaching. After that,
Okay.
the socialization. After that, you can proceed. There you have stopped, sir.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Here we were saying, and I need to make it quick because I don't have any idea whether I was disconnected or not. So the thing is, we were saying about online education. Just 1 minute. So we are saying about something online socialization. It was very important and required different skill than F2F learning. Then we need to facilitating communicative competence, which require task design and tutor interaction for the teachers. And very often they identified 3 types of teachers: novice, proficient, and expert teacher. So in this type, they especially trying to identify that it's not good for the novice teacher to use or to go for different experiments. They just follow the rules and regulations and follow some strategies. But for the expert teacher especially, they need to come up with some creativity. And it's from Lillian's work. He just mentioned another steps, the advanced beginner. So in these stages are almost the same, and the most important thing that the maturity and expert things will be followed by people, those who understand the process. The teacher who have a long time experience in doing with or in delivering lectures in virtual classroom, they can come up with these things. In online classes, we mentioned that learn from mistakes. I mentioned that the study of Auckland University, the researchers have some sort of findings like online teachers by and large left to do their own experiments and perhaps learn from their own mistakes. When we are discussing about the questions, online questions are time consuming. I'm just again sharing whether I am visible or not. Okay, yeah. So when you are preparing questions and exercise questions in online classes for virtual classroom, you need to be very attentive. It's time consuming but very sophisticated and user friendly method, and access anytime. Students can access anytime and anywhere, and feature is multiple attempts, automatic saving, these things. So it's very important for the teachers to apply this kind of things. What challenges in virtual classroom? Am I audible? Challenges in virtual classroom. So when teacher is asking question to any student, another one or two may drop by, because in online classes we have the experience when they are not visible, so it's very difficult for the teacher to understand who is doing what, or if he is asking any question to any students, the other students are going to miss, and it's very difficult to repeat again and again. And pair and teamwork, we have the experience, we usually do these things in online, in face-to-face learning. I did usually make the session very interactive and use some kind of approaches. But in online classes, you need, it's very difficult to do this pair and teamwork. But we are, discussing about the class size, that it's always small size is good. So if you have a big number of students in your class, it's very important to divide them in small groups and give them some tasks. And breakout rooms, what I was just mentioning, it's very important that breakout rooms is very important in face-to-face learning, because in breakout rooms people learn many things. In the face to face learning, people understand and learn many things. They discuss what about the lecture, sometimes it refresh them, it refresh their ideas. But in the virtual classroom, it's almost missing, and it's a big drawback of the virtual classes. But the thing is, a mature teacher need to develop some sort of understanding. Maybe sometimes he can take leave from the class, give other students to have some sort of fun, or whatever. So it gives them some opportunity. Students may start making their way out, sometimes written later. When they are not visible, it's not possible for you to understand that whether they're sitting there or not. So what I was mentioning, that from the study of Brown and Adler, they identified that small groups are better for learner perspective. To my understanding, a group of 10 people, 10 to 12 people is better. Most in the case, you can deal with 20, but more than 20, it's not, have some sort of difficulties. And the thing is, if you have a big number, I told earlier that you can break out, or break them in different groups. Oral and visual things, it's very, very important. Wang and Chen, from their study of 2009, they emphasize the synchronized oral and visual interaction is crucial component in online learning. So if you are not, we teachers are the performers. So just like theater workers or others, we need to perform in our everyday classes. So we read the lips, we read the body language, eyes, and from our understanding, we sometimes need to distract them if they are not attentive. We need to make them engaging in the class. So if they are not visible in the virtual classroom, how could I understand that they are attentive or what's going on in their mind? So synchronize of these things is very important. Current online LMS system, current online learning management system, we are using so many things. We use blogs, we use discussion groups, we use group mail, sometimes messenger group. But it's important the synchronization of these things, because when discussion is going on in different ways, sometimes maybe we had the possibility of missing something, or it will go other way. These platforms do not facilitate synchronous interaction. So change learning behavior, what we were emphasizing, Harrison and Thomas from 2009, they are saying that online communication is superficial and requires time to mature. There is no doubt about it. I have the experience of working for 20 years in teaching, but for online classes, I need some sort of learning. I need some training. So it's also for other teachers as well. With the time, maybe I will be matured. then I can use the creativity. But the good thing is, for an experienced teacher in F2F learning, it's easy for them to adapt very quickly with the situation. Social interaction, bonding, and intimate friendship is different in online platform, because it's very important for the mental health, for this bonding and other things is very important for their mental grown up, and to adapt and survive in different situations. But the thing is, in online classes it's different, but teachers need to take some initiatives to engage them in different sort of works where they share their views. Face read, lip read is difficult in virtual classroom, what I discussed. Need more time to know others. So it's the time to rethinking pedagogy. In the work of Palmer and Holt, they identified that it should be learner centered approach. But in the present situation in most of the countries, it's mostly teacher driven, and we may call it automated learning resource library. We need to understand this time automated learning resource delivery, because we are just sharing things. We are online virtual classroom, we are giving lectures, we don't bother whether the students are not listening or understanding, and we are sharing some slides, we are giving some text, and we assume that students will understand everything. But the thing, it doesn't go in this way. So it necessary to identify some other things. I need to make it short. So what is better to do? Already I discussed many things, and some of these things are self-explanatory. So training for the teachers, it's very, very essential. Uh, there are many important person present here, so I think they understand, and they will also, say their views there. And the most important thing is, COVID-19 situation is the reality, and we are adopting ourselves with the virtual things. So virtual classroom is the reality. But when the situation will be normal, maybe we will have some sort of online classrooms, and uh, there we it's better always to have face to face learning and the virtual classroom. But the thing is, in the coming time, maybe we need to adopt these things more and more. Students are in the driver's seat in an online classroom. From the work of Benjamin Jenkins, he is from Central Michigan University. So from his work, he come up with this argument, and we discussed these things earlier: the small size class, synchronizer, and visual things. Focus on the pedagogy, not only on the platform. If you are very careful that which platform will give you more simplicity, or more opportunity to deal with these things, but pedagogy is very, very important. We need to focus more on the things. Technology will not do everything. So you are the main performer. Text is universal. Screen readers are very helpful. When peoples or students can't read your face read or lip read, it's easier for them to read from the text of the screen. It is better if all the faculties use same platform, because especially for the beginner, if educational institutions give them the opportunity to use the same platform, it's easy for the beginners to adjust. Otherwise, every day they are using this and that, sometimes they will be uh, misguided, or fall in trouble. Teacher needs to be creative in preparing questions and using evaluation method. So we already discussed these things, and it's very important. And again, we mention that novice teacher will not gonna to apply these things. They will not come up with so many creativity or experiment, because it has some difficulties. But the mature teacher will adopt these things. Use group chat platform. We know in online classes, sometimes we use group chat like messenger group, this and that. It's very important, because in the online classes you are just giving lectures, and students, when they don't have the opportunity for asking questions, when it is possible in the face to face learning, in these group messengers they can ask many questions. I am uses these things for many times, and it's very effective. In the last more than 2 months I am taking training, maybe I already mentioned, I don't know. So training classes and classes from different educational institutions, and when I am using these things, students are asking so many questions, they are coming up with their difficulties. So without this platform they don't have this kind of opportunity. So again I am repeating, online classroom is the reality, and it will gonna to introduce in many parts of the world. Already we have distance education, we have totally universities, those who are running through online education for a long time. So to cope with these things, we need to just not identify the challenges, we need to come up with solutions when we don't have other options. Thanks the audience, thank you once again. And I didn't have any idea what's going on, I was just dropped somewhere in the discussion. So it's some sort of difficulties in the virtual platform, but thanks the audience for listening me with patience, and thanks Rajendra Academy for inviting me here. Thank you. Yeah,
Hello.
I have just finished.
Yes, thank you very much, sir, for your informative speech. Thanks a lot for spending with us your precious time. Thanks a lot, sir. We'll be ever grateful to you, sir. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Next, I would like to join again with us our speaker, Dr. Minal Mukherjee, sir. So you can join with us.
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
At what time I get dropped? I have no idea. At what? Hello. At what time I get dropped? At what time I get dropped? I have no idea because I was speaking. Can you just guide me? At what time I get dropped? Disconnected at what time?
That's I also forgot, sir. Just you can just short your speech.
I just start from the. Okay, fine.
No, from yeah. You can just short it.
From beginning.
No, from the middle you can just start, sir.
Okay, fine. So
Yes,
Khogenda and few others speakers
yes,
are just in the panel.
Yeah.
So definitely. So I'll just sum up my deliberation. What I'm trying to communicate to the contemporary teachers and learner, because in the higher education, the teacher is a co-learner, in the learner are the adult learner. So they together form a community, and both of the member of this community has equal responsibility to propel this new climate of environment to a higher degree of level. So what I'm trying to communicate that we may do away with the technology. We may tell that there is a digital divide. We may say that it is not possible for everybody to cope up with the technology. We may say that it is not possible for everybody to accommodate the technology because we have a very developing country and a lot of people are out of the premises of the technology. But the system cannot wait for us. We have to move further. And as because artificial intelligence is making a very severe prominent in the teaching learning, and majority of the teachers training is conducted by the Watson computer machine, as artificial intelligence is teaching the learner, even the mathematics learning is better than the human teacher. So human teaching learning is facing a challenge from the technology. But as a teacher, we do believe that the machine cannot compensate the teacher. It is the responsibility of the teacher how to manipulate the machine. So there is a new dimension, new paradigm of the relationship between human being and machine. So we have to manipulate this human-machine relationship to such a manner. We have to fine-tune the relationship with such a degree so that we can have our mastery and command on the technology. And definitely it is a truth that the deep learning is possible not mere by face-to-face. To facilitate the deep learning, technology is a very important input. So This pandemic is a crisis in one way. On the other, this pandemic is an opportunity. We have to convert the crisis into an opportunity. And this needs a collective understanding. We need to input in the policy level from the government of India at the highest level, from the state government level. At the same time, there are different actors in the higher education, the institution, the affiliating university, the accreditation body, the affiliating body, and the MHRD. So we have to work together. At the same time, we have to follow the global policy. What kind of changes in going in the global scale? We have to correlate and collaborate all these things. And as I have told earlier, I have tried to mention that are you making yourself ready for the market? Because the style of the market, the nature of the job market is going to change. The kind of skill needed for the 21st century survival has been changed. It's not mere that you are consuming information, you are reproducing information, you are documenting something in the file, you are just even a data entry operator and going to get a good job. No, there is no such kind of thinking, because you are competing with the machine. So an individual has to have a very tremendous thinker, an innovative thinker, a problem analyzer, a problem solver, and this problem solving will be assisted by robotics, by artificial intelligence, by blockchain technologies. And teaching learning is a major area where technology is going to play a vital role. So being individual, we have to have correlate our passion and what we are good at, and we have to match this passion with our vocation and with our profession, and we have to keep in touch and match with the world demand. What kind of demand is in the global market? So we have to match this global demand with our personal capacity. We have to operate in a local manner, but we have to design in the global manner. That is the need of the time. So the learner being adult in the teacher education institution have to prepare himself or herself for these kind of challenges. At the same time, the institution should come forward with adapting the acceptable policy, with adapting the need of the time, with the change of their practice of management, with the change of the practice of teaching learning. And we have to have not only depend, we have to have manipulate the technology, manipulate the machines. At the same time, what I am trying to communicate, individual are not machine. Human is human. Our societal connectedness, our societal communication, our societal community building, our affective connection is much more needed. So in virtual teaching learning, the social presence is very much important. Every learner, every individual should get his or her presence. Her identity should be acknowledged. Individual identity and group identity, and it is the mastery, depend upon the mastery of the teacher, whether he is aware of his limitations, whether he is aware of his strength, whether he is aware what is the demand in the contextual time. The demand is that the teacher has to know how he should be socially interact in the virtual level, how he should prioritize, give emphasis on the other emotional expression, and how the emotional building can be developed in the virtual environmental system. That is the need of the time. And I do believe the teacher of the Indian teacher are resilient. The Indian people are resilient. We have came across certain kind of challenges, and we could be develop a community of teacher and learner who are resilient to these kind of challenges. And we will propel ourselves, upscale ourselves in such a degree that we will do our mastery over the technology, and passionately we will manage the crisis, and we will do better in future. Not by mere our IQ. IQ matters only 15 to 20% of the performance. Our EQ, emotional, social, at the same time, our imagination quotient, that's a new kind of paradigm. With all these things, I am concluding with a hope that we will overcome, and definitely we shall overcome. And my senior, my Dada, Dr. Chattopadhyay is waiting. So yes, I am concluding here. Thank Rajendra Academy and my co-panelists and the principal and the chairman of this Rajendra Academy for organizing such webinar. Thank you all. I have concluded. I have concluded. I have concluded.
Yes, thank you, sir, for your informative and valuable speech. Thanks a lot. We're grateful to you, sir. Thanks. Next, we move on to our honorable speaker. And it's my great honor to invite you, sir, Dr. Khagendra Chattopadhyay, HOD, Department of Education, Bardhaman University. who has established a milestone in the field of education. It's my proud privilege, sir. Please lead this event. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Sir, landscape and the
Am I
landscape.
audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yes, sir. You can proceed.
Okay. Good afternoon to everybody. Thanks to the organizer, that means the management of Rajendra Academy, for inviting me in such a good webinar where we are discussing impact of COVID-19 in teaching learning process, prospects and challenges. I was present in the inaugural session, but I'm sorry to say that I had to join another meeting, and that meeting is also going on, and I will join again to this meeting. So I was not able to hear the discussion of all eminent speakers, so I have no idea what they have discussed. That's why it may happen that I will repeat the points which already have been discussed. So forgive us. Actually, I'm sharing my experience in this pandemic situation. We, the teachers of normal universities, actually, we are ready for face-to-face mode teaching learning process. Okay, but in pandemic situation, we have to adopt online teaching learning process, and my colleagues in my when they were asked to take classes in the online mode, my colleagues were not so prepared, and their attitude was not so positive. But after a few days, when they acquainted with online process, then they are very much interested, and they are now at present their attitude towards online teaching learning process is very positive. And there are so many benefits of COVID-19. Number one, the attitude of the teachers become positive towards online teaching learning process. Number two, we are using technology in our education system. And number three, the institutions are giving more emphasis to buy some instruments or online teaching learning instruments for their online teaching learning process. But I will say that for higher education, this online teaching learning process is very good. Okay, but in school education, I think in our Bengal, in remote areas, there is so much very poor students who have no smartphone or no internet connection. Actually, they are deprived. And Minal said that there is a divide, digital divide. Okay, yes, in our India there is a digital divide, and but we and another thing which are missing in online teaching learning process, that is socialization. We know that school is a miniature society, and socialization starts from school. So the socialization process is hampering. But actually, Dr. Ahmed Chaudhary said correctly that we have to adopt online socialization, and Dr. Mukherjee has already said that actually we have to adopt online teaching learning process with a view that socialization must be given more importance in online classes also. The emotions of the student should be given more importance, so that they do not feel alone. They do not feel that they are not in the regular classes or face-to-face classes, although they are in their home, but they will feel that they are in the regular classes, and uh, they are actually they are doing their classes with a live teacher who has a good heart, who is their friend, a philosopher and a guide. And that's why socialization, which is I think which is hampering a lot. But if we able to do something for our students with our heart, then I think socialization will not be hampered. And so we should emphasize on this. And now another thing I'd like to say, that not only the online teaching learning process, but actually we have to adopt with blended learning, some face-to-face mode classes and some online classes after pandemic, not in this situation, after pandemic situation, when COVID-19 will not be so fatal in our society, then some online classes and some face-to-face classes. That means blended learning must be emphasized. And one thing which I can say, that actually there are some benefits in online teaching learning process. The most benefit is that the attendance of the students is much more than the regular classes. I have seen that attendance is very good in online teaching learning process. And but in interaction process, actually it is not so easy, because already Dr. Ahmed said that students can't read our face or lips, and we also can't read the face of students and lips, and that's why we are not able to read the totally the wanting of students, that what they are wanting. But there are some technologies which we can adopt, from which we are able to reach the student. But actually for this, the teachers should be trained, and teachers should be up to date to the modern technology. And I think at this stage every teacher should given a training for using of technology, because after this pandemic situation we have to adopt some online classes, and we can't ignore this. So I will not longer my lecture, because already 3.5 hours time have spent. So I will conclude that we, the regular teachers, have to adopt technology for the benefit of the student. After the pandemic situation is over, then also we will continue our online classes, so that the students are benefited in both ways. And actually we should emphasize on the socialization. In face-to-face mode, socialization is happening, but in online mode we have to adopt online socialization. And actually finally, we the teachers should love the student, so that they are benefited. Thank you very much, and thanks to Rajendra Academy for inviting me, and I am in a hurry because I have to join the meeting which are going on. Thank you very much. My lecture is over. Madhumita.
Yes, sir. Many, many thanks. Yes,
Okay,
that's a
thank you.
really, I bow my head in gratitude for your gracious presence. Yes, sir, it's very important. It's a vital point you have discussed that all our teachers should decide, we should think for the poor students also. Yes, and it's very true that we all are discussing that online teaching is very valuable, but somewhere we are missing something, that is the face-to-face interaction with the students. Thank you, sir, for your valuable speech. We will be greatly thankful to you. Thank you, sir.
Thank
Next,
you.
I'd like to welcome our speaker, Mr. Sukumar Singh Roy, a well-known neurotherapist, and also speaker, Mr. Intanil Ghosh, a radiologist. So you can deliver your speech. Sir, am I audible?
Yes,
Okay, sir.
yes, ma'am.
Yes, sir. Okay.
Respected principal and all others colleagues of the Academy, I am very pleased to say education is the manifestation of perfection already extended in a person. True, said by Swami Vivekananda, no pandemic disaster can stop education from marching forward. As we know that due to coronavirus pandemic, the state government across the country and all over the world temporarily shut down school and college. As there is no immediate solution of coronavirus, the life of each and every person are directly and indirectly affected. Among these people, the student, government, labor, worker of small private are the worst hit. That the latest survey suggests that the occupation of people mostly affect due to the lockdown are people related to education, including students. The students are also getting depressed and are affected by severe eyes problem due to the harmful rays of mobile. For hours and hours, students are stuck to the mobile, and as a result, they had a bad intention and effect. तो थोड़ा सा हिंदी में भी बोलना चाहिए, ऐसा लगा जितना लाइव देख रहे थे सभी ने इंडियन ही है ऐसा लग रहा। तो स्टूडेंट को ज्यादा डरने का कोई विषय नहीं है। ये कोरोना वायरस बहुत बड़ा कुछ बड़ा काम करने वाला नहीं है। थोड़ा सा जो प्रिकॉशन मानना है, जैसे हैंड सैनिटाइजरिंग करना है, उसके बाद सोशल डिस्टेंस मेंटेन करना है, मास्क लगाना है, और जो स्टूडेंट के लिए जरूरी है इंटरनेट कनेक्शन लेके क्लास करना है, और क्लास का साथ साथ टोटली सब चीज फॉलो करके स्टूडेंट एंड टीचर को साथ मिलके क्लास करना है। तो इसलिए कोरोना वायरस बहुत बड़ा विषय नहीं है, सबको मिल करना है, और टाइम भी बहुत ज्यादा हो गया, इसलिए तो ओवर टू इंद्रनील जी को देंगे।
নমস্কার, রাজেন্দ্র টিচার্স একাডেমি এবং আদার্স যে আমার প্রিভিয়াস স্পিকাররা ছিল তাদেরকে অসংখ্য ধন্যবাদ এই সুযোগটা আমাকে দেওয়ার জন্য, বলার জন্য। তো প্রথমে আমি সবাইকে বলি যে আমরা এই করোনা ভাইরাস বা কোভিড-19 নিয়ে যত বেশি আতঙ্ক হয়ে গেছি, অতটা আতঙ্কিত হওয়ার কিন্তু খুব একটা প্রশ্ন নেই। আমরা যদি সেলফ মেকানিজম এবং যদি আমরা ঠিকভাবে ইমিউনাইজেশন নিজেকে করতে পারি, তাহলে কিন্তু খুব একটা অসুবিধা হবে না। কিন্তু আমাদের এই কোভিডকে নিয়ে আমাদের অন্তত 2 বছর, I think 3 বছরও চলতে হতে পারে। সেজন্য আমাদের মাইন্ড এবং আমাদের ফিজিওলজিক্যাল স্ট্রাকচারকে কিন্তু রেডি করে রাখতে হবে কোভিড এর সঙ্গে লড়াই করার জন্য। তো বেসিক্যালি যেটা করতে হবে, আমি দেখছি আমার ক্লিপকেও যে আমরা ওভার স্যানিটাইজেশন করছি, ওভার ইউজ অফ মাস্ক, ওভার ইউজ অফ গ্লাভস। বাজারে যে সমস্ত চলতি স্যানিটাইজেশন পাওয়া যায় বেসিক্যালি ওগুলো লেখা থাকে 75% থেকে 90% অ্যালকোহল, বাট অ্যালকোহল অনেক রকমের হয়, ঠিক আছে, ইথাইল অ্যালকোহল, মিথাইল অ্যালকোহল, আইসোপ্রোপাইল অ্যালকোহল। তো মিথাইল অ্যালকোহল আমরা স্যানিটাইজ যদি ইউজ করে থাকি তাহলে আমাদের কিন্তু নিউরোলজিক্যাল ডিসঅর্ডার, বিভিন্ন প্রকার আমাদের ক্রনিক ডিজিজও কিন্তু ক্রিয়েট হতে পারে। তো বি ওয়্যার, আমাদের সবসময় কিন্তু ভালো করে মাথায় রাখতে হবে যে সাবান দিয়ে হাত ধুলেই কিন্তু যদি আমি আধ ঘন্টা পর 30 মিনিট যদি বিফোর ব্রেকিং এ যদি আমি হাত ধুতে থাকি তাহলে কিন্তু সম্পূর্ণভাবে কিন্তু আমি নিরাপদ। এবং মাস্ক আমরা সবসময় পরছি, গাড়ি চালাচ্ছি তখনও মাস্ক পরছি, বাড়িতে থাকছি তখনও মাস্ক পরছি, আমি সিঙ্গেল যদি হেঁটে যাচ্ছি কোথাও রাস্তায় তখনও মাস্ক পরছি। এটা কিন্তু খুব একটা প্রয়োজন নয়, ঠিক আছে। মাস্ক একমাত্র তখনই পরা দরকার যখন আমরা কোনো পার্সনের সঙ্গে কমিউনিকেট করছি বা আমরা তার সঙ্গে কথা বলছি এবং সেটা যদি উইদাউট সোশ্যাল ডিস্টেন্স হয়, তার সঙ্গে কোনো ফিজিক্যাল ডিস্টেন্স মেনটেন হচ্ছে না, তখনই একমাত্র আমরা মাস্ক ব্যবহার করব। তাছাড়া কিন্তু ঘরে থাকলে, একা গাড়ি চালালে বা একা থাকলে মাস্ক পরার দরকার নেই। মাস্ক পরলে যেটা অসুবিধা হচ্ছে সেটা হচ্ছে আমরা যে মাস্কের মধ্যে দিয়ে আমরা কার্বন সেটা আবার কিন্তু আমি ইনহেল করি, আবার আমি নিয়ে নিচ্ছি, কিন্তু অনেক রকম ভোলাটাইল অর্গানিক কম্পাউন্ড, বিভিন্ন টক্সিক কম্পাউন্ড কিন্তু আমার শরীরে আবার ইন্ডিউস হয়ে যাচ্ছে এবং যার ফলে আমাদের কিন্তু কোভিড এর জন্য যতটা বেশি আমরা আতঙ্কিত, তারপরে কিন্তু পরবর্তীকালে আমাদের অন্যান্য প্রবলেম কিন্তু আরো তৈরি হতে পারে। তো ওভার স্যানিটাইজেশন করা দরকার নেই, যতটুকু সম্ভব ততটুকু স্যানিটাইজ করা দরকার আছে। আরেকটা যেটা প্রবলেম হচ্ছে সেটা হচ্ছে ওসিডি কমপ্লেক্স তৈরি হচ্ছে অনেকের, অবসেসিভ কম্পালশন তৈরি হচ্ছে, অনেকে দেখা যাচ্ছে যে এই হাত ধোয়ার অনেকটা মেনিয়া তৈরি হয়ে যাচ্ছে, অত বারবার আমরা হাত আবার মনে হচ্ছে না আমার যদি এখানে টাচ করলাম এখানে যদি আমার হয়ে যায় আবার হাত ধুতে, এরকম করার পরে দেখা যাচ্ছে যে বিভিন্ন তোমার আমাদের পেশেন্টদের বিভিন্ন রকম যারা আছে যারা অল্পতে একটুখানি আতঙ্কিত, তাদের মধ্যে ওসিডি কমপ্লেক্স তৈরি হয়ে যাচ্ছে এবং তারপরে কিন্তু ব্যাড ইম্প্যাক্ট তৈরি হবে। কারণ এই করোনা ভাইরাস অত সহজে যাওয়ার না যতক্ষণ না ভ্যাকসিনেশন বা ইমিউনাইজেশন না তৈরি হচ্ছে। তা আমাদের প্রত্যেকের দরকার সঠিক ওয়েতে লড়াই করা। সঠিক ওয়েতে সমস্ত কিছু জেনে যদি আমরা লড়াই করতে থাকি, তা আই থিঙ্ক আমার মনে হয় সবাই ভালো থাকবো, সুস্থ থাকবো এবং আমরা এই কোভিড থেকে, এই প্যান্ডেমিক সিচুয়েশন থেকে খুব তাড়াতাড়ি নিস্তার পেয়ে যাবো। থ্যাংক ইউ। আজ বেশি সময় নেবো না, এটুকুই বলে আমার সমাপ্ত করলাম। বলো। থ্যাংক ইউ। আমি একটা ওয়েবিনার অ্যাটেন্ড করছি, ওটা কনফারেন্স আছে, ঠিক আছে, ওটা অ্যাটেন্ড করছি না,
জন্য আপনারা অনেক সময় আমাদের সাথে থেকেছেন, তাই অনেক কৃতজ্ঞ আমরা। থ্যাংক ইউ স্যার। নাও I would like to welcome our speaker, Dr. Rajendra Kumar Mahapatra, who is also the academic director of our college. Sir, you are just welcome to give your valedictory speech so that we can just conclude our webinar. We can just proceed this event, sir. Am I
At the
audible?
end, thank you very much. Okay. Hello.
Yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So at the outset, I must extend my hearty thanks to the team of organizers. So that starts with Mr. Jant Kumar Chakravarti, the chairman of Rajendra Academy for Teacher Education, and the principal, Professor B.C. Schwein, and all the members of the faculties of the Teachers Training Institute. I extend my hearty thanks from them to them. And the most important thing is that we could manage to get it a successful one because of the lively involvement of Professor Swine, who has in fact could manage in such span of time. He could manage to arrange, manage to contact so many personnels, so many eminent professionals from different areas of the world. Thank you very much, Dr. Swine, Professor Swine, for taking a lot of efforts to what you call to make this program a grand success. I would like to point out one thing during our discussion, during our presentation, what I had marked, that most of the speakers are of the opinion that during this pandemic situation, we have a lot of solutions, and out of which the web, and I mean the online teaching is one of the major solutions to this problem. I think so also like that, because you see, while we are students and we are teaching the students in teacher education institutions, you must be knowing that there is emphasis on educational technology. The purpose of educational technology is which can be used as a substitute of the chalk and talk method. So now in this pandemic situation, where we had been restricted to move around, where there is a restriction on the home quarantine, on the social isolation, the new concepts has been emerged. And to get rid of this coronavirus, I mean COVID-19, we have to maintain that. In these particular situations, the speakers have well said, well announced about the alternatives which has been spelled out. We are supported by UNESCO also. And at that time, we should be a little bit careful also. And as Dr. Professor Nanda has told, that we need, as we are implementing this online teaching, we must orient the teachers in that way also. That is most important. So we are all agreed with that. And gradually, you see, in the short span of time, we could manage to organize such an international webinar. Think of that. If we are capable of organizing in in a short span of time, and we can in a short span of time also, we can train our teachers, and I am sure that all our teachers will accept this in a positive way, and we will have a definitely better substitute in relation to chalk and talk method. And you see, there is no way out. We can't go for the chalk and talk method at least for 2-3 years, as Mr. McDonald from USA was telling about it, that the economic condition in US is so deteriorated, it may take another 9 years to come. Think of 9 years. 9 years is not a short span of time. 9 years is a long span of time. In about a decade, if we will be in isolation, naturally we have to develop an alternative source of education. And thank you very much, all these speakers, they are agreed that as a what you call as a substitute of academic prospectus, they all are agreed that we should have a alternate sources, and we are all agreed that teaching learning process can be substituted from the chalk and talk method to the web method and to the what we call to the online teaching learning method. So thank you very much. Thanks all the learned participants, learned speakers, those who have delivered their speech. And I must extend my hearty thanks to Professor Sabir Ahmad Chaudhary, who has given a nice presentation with that what you call the technological basis, on the basis of the PowerPoint presentation. Thanks a lot. Thanks the organizers. Thanks the presenter who has coordinated all these matters. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. And once again, I thank you all for your participation in this international webinar on COVID-19, impact of COVID-19 and problems and solutions. And at least we have also seconded that there are alternatives available, and we must support to it. We must accept to it with a positive spirit, so that we can have a better substitute. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Hello. Hello. Thanks a lot.
Many thanks
Okay.
to all speakers,
Thank you very much.
teaching, non-teaching staff, technicians for their untiring effort to conduct this webinar. Hope we will overcome this challenge because hope springs eternal breath in human being. Hope is seeing light in spite of being surrounded by darkness. At the end of the day, all we need is hope, and hope never fails. So all of you, stay home, stay safe, stay positive. Thank you.
Thank you.